sorry about that. I thought we'd be straight, but the sun is way too much at that angle. All right, praise Yah. How's everyone doing? We can go ahead and get started. Trying to share this on Facebook. We're having an issue with that. We'll try it again. Okay. All righty. Cool. Hopefully all is well with everyone. Okay. Should have everybody up and going now, I think. Mic check, 1, 2, check. Can everybody hear? Everybody hear and see me all right? Prayerfully so. How's everyone doing? I did do my push-ups. I'll do some more later. Make sure that I come on and y'all see that I'm telling the truth about holding myself accountable for the workout and everything. Hopefully all is well though. Let me move over a little bit more. The shadows are doing some weird things. And the sun's gonna move, so it is what it is. But prayerfully y'all can see us okay. Oh, and I got the phone shadow on me. Well, it is what it is. It is what it is. Alrighty. Hopefully everybody can see and hear us okay though. Thank you so much for being on. Let's go ahead and get started. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in Yahavah's sight. He is our strength and our Redeemer, and it is in His name, which is His authority, that we pray, praise, proclaim, project, and protect today's message. Amen. Hola, mi nombre es Kofi. ¿Cómo está? Bonjour, je m'appelle Kofi. Ça va? Ni hao, namaste. Osayana kitabuya, Ohio. I see you. Manut, Wagwan, Kamsa, Kamsabida, Aloha, Ciao, Onson, Habarigani, Akwaba, Madase, Itase, Jambo, Mimini Kofini, the Farako Katana the Wewe, Bokerto, Bokertao, Grand Rising, greetings, Bakwarta, Barakala Cham Yahavah, Anai, Kofi, Khalat, Servant of Christ, Mashalom. Hello, everybody. I am Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servant of Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time of being a voice of the voiceless and speaking the unspoken. What's up, family? Mashapachi, Mishkapa, all that great stuff. How y'all doing in this place today? Thank you for being on and dealing with that stuff with Zoom. Minister Shante, excellent work as always. Excellent work, excellent message. Praise Yah. Prayerfully everybody was able to catch it with us. And if not, you'll be able to catch it later. Come on. All righty. So we're thankful, grateful, honored to have you all with us. We're going to continue this series that we've been doing. Really, today is where it comes to a close. It's been a great time. What's today? February the 4th, I believe. So we've had great time, put in great work, heard some great messages. Minister Shante even has schooled us in some things that probably going to pop up in the review today, but today is a review nonetheless. And so prayerfully, today's the 3rd. Okay, that's right. Today is the 3rd. Thank you. I got my stuff messed up. All righty. So prayerfully, all is well with everyone. Thank you for being on with us. Appreciate, love you. Thank you so much. So I'll be on this evening. And besides stuff that we're going to be doing throughout the day, besides a couple of things here or there that need to be done administratively, I will be off on Tuesday and Wednesday. So administratively speaking, if you need to get in touch with me with things that you cannot do on your own, or things that even if you just need to hit me up real quick, text, hey, how should I handle we'll make sure that we get that together for you all as well. We give our honor and praise to the Most High. We give our praise and honor to Him for my wife, the Honorable Amma, who lives a life that is able to be honored. As always, you can check her out on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish. Not A-N-D, the letter N. Bloom and Flourish. She is a healer, herbalist, chemist, biologist by degree. I was watching a little bit of stuff. Please check out Sister Carla Carla Walker on YouTube. Please check out Brother Dwayne, aka the Mad Trucker, Mad with 2 D's. Oh wow, I just got it. I see what you did there, sir. and also too, uh, um, check out Minister Tamara, amongst many others who have YouTube, Facebook, podcasts, businesses, etc. I know that those were cooking in my playlist, so to speak, today. So I was blessed by those in particular. But I just want to say thank you to you all for what you do and where you be and where we're going. Praise Yah. Sister Mavis, I'm gonna get me some more of them cookies soon. So put me on the list. I'm still waiting for some of my orders. Y'all know who I'm talking to. I'm on for some of the other stuff, and I'm gonna make some other orders soon. So prayerfully, we're doing things together. Praise Yah in righteousness. All right, let's go ahead and say Shalom. We're gonna do a review today. So hopefully, y'all ready to review. We're just gonna review today. All these things we've been talking about from January 1st up until today, up through today. Praise Yah. So I'm excited about what Yah's been doing in your life. Let's say Shalom to everybody real quick before we say our Bible pledge and get into it. Today's kind of sort of even Q&A-ish. We'll have an actual Q&A, so we're going to kind of have back-to-back. I mean, I'm going to be off Tuesday, Wednesday, but when I show up on Thursday, that'll be Q&A. Then we'll start our Genesis series, or our Badashat series, which is Genesis. We'll start that on Friday. So Thursday, when I come back, will actually be Q&A, and then we'll get into it. But today is kind of sort of Q&A, more review of what we're talking about with ASafePlace. So what I'd like us to do, if you're able to, is if you can be faithful to it, is the following. What I would prefer for us to do and like for us to do is this. I would like for us to, please, ma'am, please, sir, today, if you're able, if you have questions, comments, or concerns, if you can align them with the teachings we've been doing and hashtag ASafePlace. Also, if you're going to ask a question that maybe goes outside of it, just realize if you ask it, I'm going to answer in such a manner that we're going to focus on a safe place. Okay, if that makes sense. So, but let's say shalom to everybody real quick. Let's say hello to everybody real quick, and then we'll jump right in. How you doing, Brother Keith, Brother TJ, Minister Shantae, Culture Prospect, Dawn, Sister Knight, Sister Joy, Sister Michelle, Sister Shirley, Springtime, Sahara, Deborah, Pastor Human, Bold Classic, or Bold Servant, excuse me, Lee, same person, right? Brother Trevon, Sister Audrey, Wagwan, Sister Judith. Hopefully you're safe. I don't know if you're still on your travels. Be safe. How you doing? Is it Eric, OD, Florida? Can't say the word. I'm not going to say it, at least not in that context. How you doing, Sister Greta? Sister Sabrea, Giovanni? I don't know if I'm saying that right. Elijah, Sister Mignon, Brother Rodney, Sister Jennifer, Minister Jenny. Praise Yah. Oh, wait a minute. Have I been saying Sister Jennifer the whole time? The whole time it's the same? I might have been. If I have been, Minister Jenny, please forgive me. You pop person's stuff pops up in different ways. So unless we have two, it might be two different Jennifers. I don't know. I see two different pictures, so I'm gonna assume it's two different Jennifers. If it's not, please forgive me. How you doing, Ekuk-san? I'm not sure if I'm saying that correct. EKOUK son. Please forgive me. You said there's no sound. Is there no sound? Can you guys not hear me on TikTok? How you doing, Cassie? How you doing, MIT LaCrystal, Darius, Brenda? Can you guys hear me on TikTok? Oh, there are two? Okay, cool. Yeah, I was about to say, I hope I wasn't doing that. I'll be disrespectful if it was. You hear? Okay, all right. How you doing, Minister Nice? All righty. Let's go ahead and get into today. So, you can just repeat after me. Bible pledge. This is my Bible. This is my sword. And this will I trust. For Yahashavai is Lord. No sword of God shall ever be heard. For this is my Bible. And this is Yah's word. Atsham Yahavah. Aman, which is Yahavah Shem. His name is authority. Amen. Shalom, Sister Renee, if you're on as well. How you doing, Alilu? How you doing, Miracle to the King? Alrighty. Brother Torino, if you're on, praise Yah for each and every one of you. Alrighty. So this is review. We will open it up though, but this is pretty much review. So We've been doing hashtag ASafePlace, the series, for a while. We've been speaking on excellence, hashtag ASafePlace for excellence, for the name, for the word, for the nation, for husbands, for wives, for children, right, and all these different things. So we've been speaking on this for quite some time, and at this point, we're just going to kind of review and go back through some of the stuff we went through. But before I do so, I'll give you guys an opportunity. I know, once again, this is not the typical Q&A, but are there some things that we've spoken on that were maybe confusing or you'd like us to go deeper into? Or are there some questions about how to help your areas remain or become a safe place? Are there some things as far as what SOC is doing? I know that's dangerous because we might go into a SOC community meeting and not a teaching. However, are there some things that you guys are worried about as far as that? Or are there some things that we can talk about? I know there's some things I'm going to bring up that I know are going on and that we need to deal with and talk about. But what, hey, hola, ¿cómo está mi hermana Sherry? Gracias por tu presencia. Definitely going to have to go back and listen. Yeah. And I know you've been busy. We're glad to have you back on. Glad to see you back posting too. And we're gonna make sure we sit down and talk, or talk on the phone. At some point we're gonna sit down and talk. Praise God. And when you move over to the area you're moving to, there's some persons in your state, so we're gonna have to figure out how to get you guys together when you get over there. Well, I don't know if this is the platform to tell everybody where you're at, but when we get over there. How you doing, Notice Reality? Big Rich. So does anybody have any things that they'd like us to go to? How you doing, Jab, to you, that we've talked about in this series? Anything you'd like us to kind of go back over, a safe place, or maybe some things you thought we would talk about a safe place in? And we didn't really talk about it. I know I didn't talk about a safe place for character as far as going through the Hebrew characters, but we did that several times in our Q&A, and we actually did that in class that was public to everybody, so you can go back and look at hashtag SOC University. It's no longer going to be public, but for those who were part of everything we were doing publicly, so to speak, you can go back and look and listen there. How you doing, Sister Shima? Anybody have any place you want to start? If not, I'm going to just kind of go through the review, but now's an opportunity. If you'd like, if anybody have questions, comments, or concerns, anything on a safe place, anything that you'd like us to talk about. Obviously, this is a safe place, so you don't have to be personal or go any further than what you feel led to or feel comfortable with. All right. Well, if not, the door is still open, right? If not, we'll go ahead and get started. So, in reviewing this stuff, it's important that we talk about a safe place. And if you haven't got the gist of it yet, in the safe place we're developing, our new year technically doesn't start till March 29th. But what we're doing is right now already being in a position where we have a safe place for us to develop in many different areas. Thank you for the love. How you doing, Bruder Charlie? If I didn't say so already, please forgive me. Right. So in what we've been discussing, this is a safe place because for us, it's not just virtual. As we say often, this is not just virtual. It is reality for us. And so in this safe place, our goal is to continue to assemble and while simultaneously teaching and training, etc. You said, how can we practice ways of making the safe place safe if it begins to feel otherwise? I don't know if so Sister Shirley, that's a great question. It is a great question. It's going to sound weird when I say this after saying it's a great question. It is a great question. I'm not 100% sure which direction you're going, though. When correction arises, so are we just talking about in general? Are we talking about family? Are we talking about SO? I mean, really, it's going to be across the board, probably very similar, right? But yeah, if it comes to correction, so that's why one of the things that we have to do is go back to making a safe place for the word and a safe place for the name, right? So remember, a safe place for the name is a safe place for the authority. A safe place for the word is a safe place for the word. The word is the law. The word is the authority. A safe place for you. A safe place for you to be able to address things that might not be safe for you. So that is something to where the word has to take place, and it has to be. The word has to be in our heart in such a manner and in our life, in our works, to where everything is lined up. Now, it can change when we say in general, because in general, right, there can be, so a general would look over many different things, right? So depending on the department, or depending on where we are in our lives, even in our platitudes, so to speak, and our trying to please everybody and all the different things, a lot of stuff changes depending on relationship. So if I'm in a situation, let's say SOC, I'll start there. How you doing, Sister Renee? I'll start with SOC, right? So how you doing, Sister Iska? How you doing, Sister Mignon, if I didn't say so already? So I will say, how you doing, Brother Vincent? How you doing, Sister Monica? Sorry if I missed the person's coming in. Thank you for being on. So I would say, like, straight up from the beginning, if we're all SOC and we say that this is the word, by the way, on the website, Kofi-Ofori.com, we have the 7 Fs. You can read them, you can watch them. We have books that will be added to the website, but also books that are available. I know some of you still haven't gotten the updated book from the last one I wrote, but we have books on different things that speak to the heart uh, of leadership. We have ministerial staff meetings on the regular. By the way, ministerial staff will be having our meeting on Thursday, 6:30 p.m. New York time. But we have meetings on the regular to make sure that we're on the same page. And we should have the same standard, which is the word of Yah. Ultimately, that's the goal, right? Is to make that the standard for us. So if we have this standard, then correction shouldn't be a problem. According to Matthew chapter 5, somewhere in between, really verses 21 through 26, he's speaking on law and how you should be careful if you are walking in the way. That's always the care. So that's when we say in general in this department, if we're walking in the way with each other, and you and I, let's say you and I, we ain't got no problems, Sister Shirley, right? But let's just pretend. Right? Let's just pretend. So if you and I are walking in the way, we both walk in the truth, you walk mightily in it, I walk mightily in it. We have a disagreement though, right? Whatever happened, woo, right? And then next thing you know, we beefing over something. If we walk in the way, the scripture says we should, as soon as possible, like as soon with speed, right? As soon as possible, you and I should make sure that we squash it. Why? Because if it gets to a point to where now somebody above us got to get involved, it can lead to some stuff lawfully that we don't want no parts of, right? And so if you talking to me and I'm doing whatever, and then come to find out you give me a word or you show me what happened and you give me scripture, if I'm a student or disciple, disciplined in the same thing that you are, safe place for discipline, we talked about that. If I'm a disciple, how you doing, Sister Nadine? How you doing, Arnold? How you doing, Lady uh, I don't know if I'm saying this right. Gillard? I'm probably not. Please forgive me. Gillard? Please forgive me. Right? But if we're in the same place and of the same mindset, same heart, etc., and you say, yo, Kofi, real talk, put that pastor thing to the side, be a son of Yah. As a daughter of Yah, I got a problem with you. As your sister, I got a problem with you because you did X, Y, and Z. And I look at that scripture and you right. Guess what? My response should be, you right, sis, my bad. Right? Now, this is why we got to make a safe place, though, because if you're still too proud, you can't move in excellence like that. Safe place for excellence. See, all these things we've been talking about, they go together, right? So in that instance, it should be pretty easy. Now, if the Bible declares if you and I can't do that, then we got to go to the next level and involve somebody else that we both trust. And if that don't work, we got to bring it before others. And if that don't work, we got to bring it before all the SOC. And somebody business gonna have to get put out there. And if you wrong, you wrong. So that in that instance, now if you're talking about maybe you have a friend or a family member who doesn't believe in what you believe in, and some of those things happen, well, we have to see what's going on. We always put Yah first, but we season our words with salt. We make sure that we're showing love to others. We're making sure that we are connected to what Yah has, what Yah has given us, that we're being obedient to it, et cetera, et cetera. We have to make sure that we're doing these things. And so that could be different, right? Like, so I've talked about before, honor your parents, honor your mother and father. But if mom and dad tripping, I can still honor you without having to be, a doormat. Run to the rock, am I? Right? So I can still honor you and not have to be a doormat. I can still hear what you have to say. I can still make sure you're fed. I can make sure my children are fed. I can make sure my children receive money if they need it. I can still make sure I check on them and stuff. But if they're gonna act a fool, you said your brother's constantly making fun and it makes you uncomfortable. but you pray instead. Yeah, and by the way, now I don't know your living situation and stuff, and I'm never the person to try and separate family, but if your brother is somebody who's quick to make fun of you, we would call that in apologetics, we would call that ad hominem, right? I'm typing in there for you, ADHOM. And sorry, TikTok, they don't let me type in the chat for some reason, but ADHOMINEM, right? And if you look up ad hominem basically is saying that you are more focused at making fun of a person than you are at having a valid argument. And so if that person is around, we have to make decisions, and we have to even say to ourselves, if somebody can't make a valid argument, but they can make fun of me, right? But they can't really, what they're saying is, I don't actually have anything that to show why you're wrong. All I can do is try to make fun of it. And if that's the case, then you have to figure out how to move and how to work in honor. But just because I'm trying to honor you doesn't, or just because I'm trying to treat you with respect, doesn't mean that you don't put yourself in a position to where I can't give you certain things, because I can only love you where you allow me, right? If I be honest, even in my own family right now, there's a lot of weird behavior, and persons that I grew up with and I really, really, truly love on all levels. You want to talk about like grew up in the house with, grew up like playing with every day, grew up like looking up to. And a lot of these cats, are even beforehand, I kind of was always the black sheep of the family anyways, but it's kind of increased. And when somebody passes away or when something happens, blah, blah, now everybody wants me to bring back my training and come back and be like, oh yeah, you were trained to do blah, blah, just like us. Because the family, a lot of the family went to church, and we got a lot of preachers. So, it's like, oh yeah, come back and do blah, blah, and this and that. And sometimes my response is to be like, yeah, I'll be there in the crowd. I'll be in the pew, but no. And not just because of belief system, but because like, we are not going to play this weird game where we haven't, and somebody's be like, but we got to put that to the side. Yeah, but I put it to the side for like several funerals. I've been back several times, buried uncles, buried mama, buried, we've done this with buried auntie, I've been back several times. And every time I come back, this is going to be the time we listen. This is the time our tears are going to mean we're going to call each other. And then when I'm calling her, then when this, but then when it's easy to go ahead and make me the sacrificial lamb, and make yourself the scapegoat where you get to escape. That's part of scapegoat, escape, right? Remember that erased from certain words is just talking about, is it French or is it Germanic in the English language? So when somebody's the scapegoat, they're the goat that escaped, not the one that was sacrificed. So I just realized to myself, like, yeah, Yahashavai is supposed to be a sacrifice, right? But he was sacrificed when it was time. And I can't just be sacrificed all day, every time, no matter what the situation is, so we have to come to that. So like I said, even with myself, I was so busy. I think I said this when I was giving my testimonies a couple of days ago on Saturday. I think I said this, like I've sometimes I've been so busy, so-called, killing the flesh or denying the flesh, amen, denying the flesh, that I actually didn't realize I was denying myself. Yeah, you've been there before too. Yeah. So sometimes we can be so busy denying the flesh, we don't realize we're denying ourselves. Just some of us are just different from the start. That too. How you doing, Sister Kimberly? So don't deny yourself. And I know somebody says, well, the Bible says, yeah. If those who were in the teaching, you got the context of it, right? Don't deny yourself. Hey, what's up, Brother Ricky? Don't deny yourself. We can be so busy denying the flesh that we deny ourselves, right? Denying the flesh is not always denying yourself. You're denying the flesh, meaning that the flesh that's tapped into sin, because your flesh is supposed to be in subjection. So you don't deny all of your flesh. You deny the things that come through Adam's sin, right? You don't deny the flesh just 100%. You deny the things that come through Adam's sin, right? Even if you're going to fast 40 days and 40 nights, at the end of 40 days and 40 nights, put some food in your belly. You feel me? Right? Like, yeah, fast, pray, all that stuff. And we're going to be fasting again this month, right? I'm going to have to talk to Elder Alma and get agreement on what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. But fast, pray, do all that stuff. But don't fast to the point to where you never eat again. You never eat again, you'll starve. You said, right, you don't disregard the flesh, you take care of it, right? So when it says deny your flesh, I'm denying the things that are harmful because the flesh is supposed to be in subjection through my soul to my spirit. The spirit, that's why the spirit is willing, the flesh is weak. Doesn't mean that the flesh is not to be taken care of. It means that the flesh should never, right, these fleshly desires that we have that come from something else that are sinful should never get to a point to where they outweigh what Yah has for us in the spirit. How you doing, Brother Jacob? Praise Yah for you. Everybody down there in Puerto Rico. How you doing? That's right. Make a safe place. That's why we said even has safe place for self. That's why one of the things, or for you, I think that teaching is called hashtag a safe place, you, a safe place for you. Right. So never, don't be so busy you're denying your flesh that you end up denying yourself. That's out of pocket. How you doing, Veronica, if you're still on with us? Right. Never get to a point to where you're so busy denying flesh, you deny yourself. Right. This is what leads to weird behavior too, when persons be flogging themselves. I don't know if you've ever seen something like that, and especially in Roman Catholicism and other places too. They'll just be flogging themselves, hitting themselves, doing stuff like that. It's like that's not what he said. When deny your flesh, or if you know, right? Like that's actually some heathen behavior. I'm sorry. You said, how can I? So thank you for that. Hopefully I answered the question. How can I stay strong in a world that's against the Most High when we are so scattered? It's tough. So great question here. And I'm not going to try. And how you doing, Brother Lamar? How you doing, child of Yasmina? Excuse me. I'm not going to, and thank you for the love. I'm not going to just glance over it. However, I'll say this much. Stay connected. Right. This is a safe place, but if you never enter in the place or not connected to the place, how do you stay in the safety? Right. I've been talking a lot about when I was in the military. Excuse me, disgusting. I know. I'm sorry. I don't have any tissues, I don't think, today. But if you guys recall, I've talked a lot about being in the military, doing gate guard duty, being on sentry duty, and dealing with different things regarding that. Right. And in doing so, I realized that I can't leave my post. Kind of what we were just talking about now, right? I can't leave my post. I can only love those that are in the gate, or I can only defend those that are in the gate, right? So when you find somebody like-minded, make it your responsibility. First of all, it is your responsibility. Let us not forsake the gathering or the assembling of ourselves one with another. How you doing, Sister Alyssa? Thank you for the love, right? So let us not forsake or look down upon or forget about or even forsake, right? Not even think about the word sake is really even thinking about the reputation. So to think that it's not part of your reputation to gather together is sinful. It's missing the mark, right? That's what sin is, to miss the mark. So we actually a lot of times miss the mark and don't even recognize and realize in real life, in real time, even what's really going on with that. We're missing the mark. Let us not forsake. Let us not think about, let us not forget, or before we get to a place of what our reputation is to be together, let us not already say, I'm not even going to be with that. So, I say this all the time. We live close to each other, close enough to where there should be gatherings, whether I'm there to start it or not. You see, you said it's not about the world, it's about the Most High, and you pray for others and let the Most High. Okay, sure, right. But there's also faith in that, and then there's work in it, right? So I agree with you. We agree with that, of course. That's what we're talking about through the prism of what persons will call the Bible, the Word, the Law, the Truth, Amat, etc. Um, what does it say, right? And let us not forsake the gathering, right, of ourselves. And when it says ourselves, what we do is we just go, I want to gather, period. But it doesn't say, remember, this is not written to everybody and for everybody. As much as we try to make it, it's very distinct that this is for those, even when it says, let those who have ears hear, that means everybody doesn't have the ears or the ability to be able to hear in the manner that you do, right? So, so when we, so one of the big things is like, hey, call each other. Hey, like some of us are in Brooklyn, Bronx, Jersey, Philly, contact each other. Hey, what you doing, sis? What you doing, bro? Hey, you know what? We got 15 families or whatever. We could easily meet up. Somebody got a crib, somebody, when it gets warmer, or even if it's not warmer. I mean, shoot, we'll go outside to wait for the bus stop to go to something that may not be the best thing for us anyways. We'll go on the subway station and be cold. Why not make sure, hey, we'll meet up together outside. We ain't got to do but an hour or so, but let us not forsake, right? That's one of the things that's there. And now when it says we're so scattered, that's very true. But the word says that we're supposed to be coming back, right? There's some of us in Connecticut, Rhode Island, a lot of places, right? If you were to take literally the DMV all the way up, I don't think we have anybody in Maine at this moment, but if you were to take the DMV and go all the way up, pretty much we hit every state on the way up. So at that point, we got to ask ourselves, why are we not meeting, right? Like that's why I told y'all when I'm going back and forth on the East Coast this year, those in Georgia, right? Be ready. But even before I get there, why forsake the gathering? And if you say, well, I don't have such and such number, okay, contact the person who's over your group. We got all these persons in Texas, Fort Worth, Dallas. I keep forgetting the other place, but Fort Worth, Dallas, and Fort Worth, Dallas, and what is it? Fort Worth, Dallas, and Houston. Sorry, but there's another place too. But we got places in there like, hey, we can meet up once a month. We can do something together. We could break bread. You know, so there's a lot of different things. But even if it's not that, like the phone calls, connecting with each other, praying for each other, showing up to what you can show up for, right? But it doesn't always have to be like it's a Kofi sanctioned event, right? Or that I'm going to show up. We got cats in the D spread out. By the way, some of you even I messed up with, because I know some of you, we should have even had you do some things for Big Brother Thomas, and we weren't able to make it happen. I had my dates messed up. That's why I thought we weren't going to be able to get it done fast enough. And then when I realized we still had another week, uh, or two, something like that, we had another week. Then I didn't, step on it. But I'm just saying, like, we have all these persons in different places. We have persons in Chicago, you know, we have, you see what I'm saying? Like we have persons in Cali, we have persons in, well, yeah, even in and out of Arizona. Some of y'all that are regular, some of you that come in and out of Arizona. We have persons locked in. We have persons locked in Florida. We have persons here, we're there. So at some point it becomes, when will you do what Yah says, right? Which is to not forsake. So not to try and step over, but to be honest, some of that does come on us, where it's like, where's the effort at? Where's the energy at? And I get it, because then it's, well, my schedule and this and that or whatever, like the same way we do. So if you were having a family get together and you were like, y'all really want to go, you probably would be like, I'll take a day off work. Okay, well, if you want to come to a get together, whatever, might have to ask like, hey, can I have an hour off here, or can I come to this, blah blah, whatever. There's some of that we really need to ensure that we have. And a lot of times persons will come out and only wait for if I'm passing through. And that's not necessarily the best way to go about anything. I'm one person. The goal, once again, though, that's why we're working on land and doing a lot more and having a lot more venues and meetups and things like that. That's why we're working on that, because at some point, yes, we want to all be together. But even in that, there's going to be transition, right? So we even have to start planning now, having a plan, which sure, it's going to start with me, but even in your personal life, okay, if we do get to a point and I'm like, oh man, it looks like we'll be able to start living on the land, and I don't know, let's just be safe. I don't even know. I'm not saying this is, I'm just saying this for an example. Let's say we can start living on the land in 2030. Oh man, it's going to happen, right? Even if you're going to do that, you got to start planning and start seeing what's there. And financially, are you straight enough to, right? Or are you going to are you able to give, like, are you willing to do this, that, et cetera, the third, right? We don't necessarily care if persons live there 24/7, but like, so, all day, every day, we're not gonna hold anybody there. You don't have to only stay, you can only come if you stay, type thing. That being said, though, even the goal of what we're doing is to try and get you to get land for yourself. So you still should be looking at other streams of income, all right? And how can we do certain things, and what's going to happen, and how can, are you preparing your heart and your mind, because it's going to be a different mindset. It's going to be different when like I've said before. I think I said this recently on the men's meeting, but like, yo, I can't wait for the day where I walk outside and it's not like, oh yeah, I'm talking to my brother but I'm doing so through the phone or through text on the phone. But I'm actually like, hey, what's up? And he right there. And our families are locked in. And, there's an opportunity for us to eat what we want. And we're growing food and we see the children get to play and to get trained and to do all these different things. And we move as a community, we move as one, right? That's coming. That's the goal. And I can't give you an exact date on it, but I'm working feverishly, right, to try and make sure that that happens. That being said, even when it happens, you got to be prepared. You say Connecticut has large state parks. Yeah, so we could set the things up for sure. And there's at least 3, 4 families in Connecticut, right? So it's not that we don't have the families. And somebody will say, well, it takes me a long time, or I can't write. I've seen it with SOC. Somebody will pick you up, or we'll take care. If it's a one-time thing, shoot, we can try and put you on the train or something like that to get from one place to another. You need $20, $25 to use something to get somewhere in New York or something. We can try and help you out best we can, or in DC or whatever. But it's going to take a lot, or I don't even know if it takes a lot. It's just transitioning from giving what we've been given to everyone else to giving it to ourselves. But as far as being scattered, I do get that it's difficult. I promise you, I promise you, like, it's not the easiest thing for me. I kind of am more locked in where even in my own community, the persons around me either respect what I do and listen to us, and even if they're not part of us, or they've legit actually kind of become part of SOC. So I kind of have a little different thing, but also that's me opening my mouth, me living my life, me being righteous. But it doesn't necessarily always work out that way. I've been in other places where nobody wants to hear anything you got to say, or everybody looks down on you because you're not doing what everybody else is doing. And I get that there's a transition that has to take place. So if that's where you are, especially if you're dealing with a spouse or children or something like that that's off, or some of us have trained our children or with our spouse when we were Christian or something else, another religion, and now we're coming into this and we're starting to realize, oh yeah, like it's, there's differences now in the house. It can be. So I would say first and foremost, and there's some persons that can tell you their testimonies better than I. I won't call them out on here because they might not want me to. But there's persons on here where they've had husbands or wives or children who are way against this and thought that what I was saying was completely different. And the reality was that the Bible says, once again, going back to the standard, the Bible says a hashtag, a safe place for the word. It says that it can be the behavior of the non-believing spouse that changes, right? The heart, the mind, right? And the behavior of the behavior of the believing spouse that changes the behavior of the non-believing spouse. How you doing, Tamara? And that seems like, um, something where it's like, well, I do my best, but you know what happens a lot of times with this? We do our best, and then the person won't listen. So then we start acting the same way they're acting, and we start acting how we used to act. Versus, we should actually start looking into how can we be better, how can we be greater, how can we make sure that we maintain what Yah wants, how can we continue to be in what the Most High has for us, and be obedient to it, right? No matter what. But that's, I think to go further, because I'm kind of dancing around to go further, there's some things that I had to talk about with personal life and with personal decisions, and I'd have to know some other things personally. And it's been a while since we talked, so maybe we can set up a conversation and we can go a little deeper in that. Let's see. Oh, flights are real low due to recent news. Mm. How you doing, Sister Rosie? Praise Yah. I know I missed another question. Let's see. And how you doing yourself? We got to call and talk too. We got to get your marital stuff going. But I'm trying to call and double check on some things real quick. But how you and Sister Danielle doing? I don't know why I keep wanting to say Sister Brenda. Sister Danielle. I'm sorry, Sister Danielle. Shalom, peace. Okay. I know I missed somebody's question. Sorry to hear that, Sister Carla. Yeah, we'll talk through some things. Let's see. What is the Bible closest to the ancient Paleo Hebrew writings in our nation? I want to buy a new one. I have King James and others at the moment. I'm being honest. I don't know if they're all versions. If you're saying what's the closest version, I mean, really, you're looking at something written in Paleo Hebrew, and the one that I'm focused in is some would try to argue and say that that's not even the correct one. That's why I always say it's about culture. And now this is going to sound weird and wild, and I kind of going to start doing. Matter of fact, maybe if some of y'all want to do this, maybe this can be an excuse for me to come on social media at other times throughout the day. If some of y'all want to go on this journey, I don't know if I have an exact time, but it'll just be whenever I can come on. I'm going to go back to what I used to do, but I'm not going to do it to the extent that I was doing before. But I had a teacher, Apostle Fenrick, and she, beautiful sister, and she would take. She had us take, and this is what she was made to do by her teachers. We had to take the Bible, and we had to write out every word in English. Then we had to write out every word in Hebrew. Then we had to write out every word in Greek. And then we had to say what each one meant in each language. And then we had to even talk about the context and how the context could even change in each language. Now, I don't think I'm going to do anything that extensive, nor do you have to. It takes a long time. That being said, and I didn't necessarily do the whole Bible. I got through a lot of it. I definitely got through, I'd say the first 10 before I started skipping around a little bit. But I'm probably going to go back and do that with just Paleo Hebrew, because I've never done it with Paleo Hebrew. So who knows? Maybe at some point we'll be able to say, "Oh, we got the Book of Genesis, blah blah." Okay, we got this one, we got that one, because I know how to. For the most part, there's going to be some words that still are up in the air because so much stuff has been changed. But that's a way to do it if you know how Paleo Hebrew works, and if you know how to do the sounding of words, and if you know how to do transliteration, and if you know the danger of transliteration as well, you'll stay away from certain things. But if you know how to do transliteration, proper interpretation, culture, etc., you will. You can read something like that's why sometimes you'll hear me even use Paleo Hebrew terms, or you'll hear me say something in a different phrasing than what it is in here, because even though I like the King James version a lot, I love it. Matter of fact, I use it all the time, right? I act upon it, right? That being said, um, it's not, I know it to just be a version, but I do know enough about Paleo Hebrew to where when I see a word, I'm thinking something different. I'm thinking a different context. So it kind of gets difficult in that, to be honest, because like that's why I say it's always culture first. So I'm not going to pretend and act like I've read every version of the Bible. And somebody that would tell you they do so, they can't really study it at the same time. Like if you're going to do that much reading, you got to just read. So I'm not really, I wouldn't. That's why when persons ask me what is the best version of the Bible, I tell them like I don't really care what version, because all of them are versions. It's at some point we got to try to go back to the original, and that's where I get a lot of backlash, to be honest, too. And so will you on your journey, because persons are so used to versions and what version they like that they don't actually want to hear anything about the original. So, it's kind of difficult. But yeah, I don't. As far as I can't really answer that question, the way that you would want me to. That's why my answer was always pretty much the same: learn culture, learn language, learn original, and go back through and start. When you read something, go, okay, well, how would that have been? What would that have been said in Paleo Hebrew? This and that. But yeah, I mean, I am at some point. I feel like I'm going to have to work on it. It'll be step by step. I've told persons I do feel like I'm going to give my shot at being led by Holy Spirit to not rewrite this, but to simply, you know, have the original language as much as can possibly be represented, and even have to be honest about, yeah, this part we're not 100% sure. This is the word we're using here. Then probably have to have an English equivalent to it, right? Whether it's in the same book, like a lot of the Qurans that you'll see, they write it where you have, Arabic, or and then on the other side you'll have the English or whatever language you're learning it in, but they keep the original so that you can't change it. They say this is what it is; it's not changing. And then over here, they say, okay, this is the these are the words in your language. But if you even notice, if you can read both, they won't really always translate. They'll do their best to give it to you in another language. So it's kind of difficult to do. We're looking at doing something. Like I said, I'll probably try to get something like that. But if you're, I don't. That's why I always say I don't really have an answer for that outside of learn culture and know what's best, because ultimately, unfortunately, there's some things, there's so much change that it's difficult. Even when I say certain things, like when somebody be like, where you get that from? It's hard for me even to answer questions sometimes because I'm literally in my mind. I've learned how to, sometimes bounce around something 7 or 8 times before I answer. Or if I'm reading something and I'm reading it differently, I'm thinking about several different things. So somebody will be like, what version of the Bible is he reading? I get that a lot. Somebody, what version is that? What version is that? And it's like, it's not really in the version. I just know what it actually says. So, and it's difficult because somebody's waiting for you, and we lack discipline as well. So somebody be like, well, something you were doing from, I've been preaching, since with a few years off, but I've been preaching since I was, well, technically, I guess you say 6. I've been walking around knocking on doors, talking about the word since I was 4. And even though it wasn't the truth, I'm just saying I was developing already. I was writing that stuff out. I was talking about writing out like that. I started writing that stuff out actually when I was in the military, but I kind of stopped. And then when I got with Apostle Fenric, I was doing that age 20, 25, maybe 24, 25. And did it for a few years, in a row without stopping every day, having to do so and turning my work even to her that she might be able to check it. So it's a lot in there. So that's what I'm saying. Like it's when I go through and we start doing that, if we do it as a group in the community, however we're going to do it, it's going to take a minute, right? It takes a while. That's why they had multiple persons do it. Also, too, you have multiple persons doing it. Now, give credit where credit's due. It's pretty, with all those things being considered, it's a pretty decent job that was done, right? In certain versions, especially more than others, but still, it's a pretty decent version. And keeping something, especially for a long time when everything had to be handwritten, right? So we have to admit that there was, that obviously the Holy Spirit was hovering, to say the least, to keep things together. But yeah, it's kind of difficult for me to say which one is the best, because even when somebody says, "Well, I've got the Kefer, which is Savad or the scroll," right? So you say, "I have the Kefer," and you think that's Ethiopian Bible. That word just means scroll, right? That's what Kefer or Savad or Sefer means. So somebody like, yeah, but I got the Kefer or the Sefer. It's like, oh, okay. But you might not know that they are doing some things that are orthodox, and that the ones who are writing it are not always they're not always necessarily getting that from Ethiopia either. Which means that you could be getting it from another culture. And even the ones that are Cushitic, some of the Cushitic versions have changed because they tried to change it when they wanted to change the bloodline to not lead towards Haile Selassie. Or some would even argue they wanted to lead towards Haile Selassie. Right. That's why Holy Spirit is very important. Regarding, you always have to make sure. So even in our faith and our works and all that, we always look for Holy Spirit to give us guidance, and she will. So yeah, it can be very difficult to remove some of those added words that relate to witchcraft, which they thought were slick for educational purposes. Yeah, and even in that, like how you doing, K Sandy? Thanks for being part of the community. Even in that, how you doing, Shoe Queen? How you doing, Dr. T? There's a lot, even in that, right? For example, when we speak the language we're speaking now, I speak it a little differently than everybody too, because I am trying to. It's almost unavoidable. However, I try my best to avoid witchcraft even in what I say. That's why I make it a point to say stuff that we don't think about. For example, somebody tries to tell you that words don't mean words. So if somebody, we have to have a safe place from that. So even when we speak Anglo-ish or Anglo or English, which is really more from le français, even influenced by Scandinavian and Nordic type stuff and all this, and Germanic, obviously, Visigothic, Goths, Gauls, Gaulish, etc., right? Gentile, right? We have to recognize that in the English, so-called English language, you're also dealing with stuff that is spells. That's why you spell words. Well, if I spell a word, I'm using a spell. So you have to ask yourself, right? But then there's times that we go too far with it too, where we're not looking at character. So like one thing that I'll tell persons, and I don't mind, I like the fact that we're going into things, but you hear somebody say, I don't want to say bless, because bless is be less. And it's like, that's not how it works within the alphabet, I get what you mean, right? Or somebody will say, well, in my language, I appreciate, or, well, we know about appreciate, love, appreciate, but somebody be like, because when I say this, I sound it like this, but is that how it actually sounds? right? Or even silent letters. No such thing as silent letters. Silent letters are clues as to where a word came from. No such thing. So it gets to a place where it's like you still have to be cultural. So, but I do believe, that being said, it is important for us to not say good morning because we don't mourn God, right? That's somebody else's cultural influence. We would never mourn God. First of all, God is not dead; He's alive, and all that stuff, right? So why would you mourn God, right? If you do, mourn Christ, but He got up, right? So I don't have any God mourning. Or why would I use God when in Paleo Hebrew, once again, going back to the original, God is the name of one of our nations or one of our sons, one of the 13 children of Israel. Why would I, why would I worship Him and not, the Most High Yah? So we have to create a safe place for that. But that's why it has to be a safe place. It has to be communal. And it has to be, this kind of goes back to Sister Sherry's question. It has to be something that we are dedicated to no matter what. And we recall that even when we're in the cave by ourselves, that there are thousands that have not bowed their knee. And I'm depending on you, just like you should be depending on me, to hold fast to truth. And by the way, when we come through your area, or when you come through our area, when we meet up, right? We're not going to change when we meet up. So this is when it gets to be a little difficult. Well, not difficult, but this is where I guess I can see the difficulty. Remember, we said excellence is difficult, right? Mediocrity is average. The average person either is mediocre or looks up to mediocrity. The average person on the planet, right? If you want to consider yourself to be average, by the way, a lot of you in the West don't even realize that you're rich. You complain because you might not be able to get the type of food you want. Somebody else can't get food, or they have to trade the food that they have because it's the only money they can make. So they have to be willing to starve to somehow make money for their family, right? While starving their family to make money for the family, right? They look up to mediocrity. We just go, oh man, we're poor, we're broke. I make 1,000 a month. There's somebody that doesn't make $1 a day. You think you are poor, but really you are rich. Even that within itself, right? You have to speak differently and you have to act in that. So even if I'm in a 9 to 5 thing, still, I don't act like the corporation. I have to honor the corporation because of the contract, but I don't act like the corporation. I don't have to be corporation to be under a corporation either, right? Like these are things we can pull ourselves out of now, and they allow us to have a safe place even within, right? Wherever your feet tread, it shall be yours. In the land of your captivity, you should still have homes and build homes and live in them. We make the assumption that because we're scattered, we can't build homes and live in our homes. No, in your captivity, build homes and live in them. That's Jeremiah 29, right? In your captivity, marry one another. Jeremiah 29. In your captivity, take care of your children. In your captivity, keep the holy days. This is in your captivity. And what's happened is we, just because we're in captivity, doesn't mean we should be captivated. And just because we're in captivity doesn't mean we should not prepare for the day that we come out. Right? You see what I'm saying? That's what the preparation should be. Right? Yeah, prepare in the midst of your enemies. So as a child, we had to go fishing for food. Yeah. So even in the land of your captivity, right? Get your fishing license. In the land of your captivity, brothers, especially. I told my wife that I'm kind of disappointed in myself, even though I wasn't trained. I had to go outside of my family to learn some of these things. But yeah, I wasn't trained on the value of fishing every day or hunting every day or making sure that you had I had to get in the military to realize the power of protecting your family with a weapon, right? Take captivity captive, right? you know but in the land of your captivity, you still have a responsibility, and Yah is still with you. And so we have to start living as if we have a safe place in, see, watch this. I have a safe place in an unsafe place, right? When I go out, police, right? Same persons that somehow, some way always listen to me, whatever, right? Travel and go somewhere else. Somebody's always looking at, somebody's trying to so when I go to places, really, I'm not necessarily safe. Can I be honest with you? Right? But I'm always safe if you get the gist, right? I don't take myself in places purposefully looking for the unsafe places. No, but I know that in the world, There's a lot of places that for me are not safe, period. That being said, when I get there, it's safe because Yah's with me. Let's go to let's go to the word. Let's go to uh Yahashavai or Joshua. Yep, same name. Yahashavai or Joshua. Let's go to Joshua chapter 1. Let's just start at Joshua chapter 1. Come on. How you doing, Elder Select Hammer? If Yahavah before us, who can be against us? I'll be waiting on the call, by the way. We didn't get the call last Tuesday. So I'll be waiting tomorrow. Praise Yah. I'm on, right? So you see, I had to learn that while raising children, right? So I can be in an unsafe place, but I'm still safe. Let's go to the word though. Let's go to the word. Once again, we're going to Joshua. We're going to start right at chapter 1, verse 1. Okay? Okay. Let's go to Joshua chapter 1, verse 1. You just read it before the live. Come on now, so you know where we're going. Praise Yah. All right. So Joshua chapter 1, verse 1. Okay? Watch this. Now, so hashtag ASafePlace. Now, after the death of Moses, the servant of Yahavah, it came to pass that Yahavah spake unto Yahashavai, the son of Navan, Masas, even minister, saying, Masas, Moses, my servant, is dead. He gone. What made you feel safe is not here anymore. Right? The one who was leading you, and as long as you saw him, you knew you were safe. Well, guess what? Things change. You're in a different position now. All right. Right? But so now, since you're in this feeling of you're in this place where you feel unsafe. This is what I want you to do. Now, therefore, arise, get up, go over this Jordan, thou and all this people, unto the land which I do give to them, even to the children of Yahashavai. Get up and move into what I have for the children of Israel. Just because Moses is not here anymore does not mean that I'm not with you anymore. Right? You've had 30 days to mourn. You've had a whole month. Sackcloth, ashes. I can't believe. What are we going to do? Right? I still fed you. You've had all this time to mourn. All right. I still comforted you. You had all this time to mourn. All right. I'm still with you. You had all this time to mourn. Well, guess what's still with you if you're in the wilderness still? Fire by day, pillar of fire by day, pillar of cloud. I'm sorry, pillar of cloud by day, pillar of fire by night. Right? Still with you. Right? Okay. So, all right, Moses, my servant, is what? Dead. Now, therefore, arise, go over to this Jordan and all this people, all the nation, and unto the land which I do give to them, to the children of Israel. Verse 3, every place. You said that's the chapter and verse gave life to Yah from. Come on, right? Watch this. Every place. How many places is every? How many places that be? Every place. Every single one of them. Every place that the soul, that means the bottom. Don't be on your tippy toes on this. Don't be on your heels. 10 toes down. Every place that the sole of your foot shall tread upon. We like to talk about the serpents we tread upon. Every place. That's why a serpent, if you tread upon them, because it's every place. The serpent is a place. Every place, nothing left out. Every place that the sole of your foot shall tread upon, that have I given unto you, as I said unto Mashas or unto Moses. Every place that I said I would give unto you. So go where I told you to go. Moses was leading you there. Moses couldn't go there with you anyways. Moses has passed on. Now that he's passed on, keep going where I told you to go. And if you keep going where I told you to go, if you keep doing what I told you to do, guess what I'm telling you? Even if there are persons there you're going to have to fight, it doesn't mean that it's not safe. Don't get caught up like Joshua and Caleb did, or I'm sorry, like the 12 spies did. And only 2 of them, Joshua and Caleb, had enough sense to say, who cares if they tall? Who cares if they're scary? Who cares if they're this? We were promised this. And by the way, the promise goes back to Abraham. Abraham lived there, and he was told his children would come back there. Even though his children would have to go through some things, he said, ultimately, your children will come back here. And so even though this is not your land right now, right? And now you got to go back to Ham, who when he messes up with his father, Ham's son, Canaan, is going to have to serve Shem, his uncle. So now here comes Shem, through Avda, through Hebrew, through Israel, coming back on what Abraham has been a down deposit on when he gave a tithe to Melchizedek. He gave the tithe to Melchizedek. Melchizedek was like, I don't even need it. Don't give it to me. Don't. And he was like, no. This ain't even about you, bro. This is about these babies that's coming. This is about righteousness. This is about a down payment. I'm going to live here, right? And if I'm going to live here, I'm going to give where I live. That's a word, right? If I'm going to live here, I'm going to give where I live. But also I'm giving because there's generations coming here that are going to be like the stars of the sky. They're going to be like the sand of this, the grains of sand, right? You're not going to be able to number them. And so we're getting ready to come into this place, into this safe place. So once again, every place that the sole of your foot tread upon, don't stop treading. Don't stop standing. Don't stop walking. Don't stop walking towards. See, what happens is, oh man, I feel like I'm by myself. I'm going to stop. And this is when we usually have problems. There are some problems, so-called problems, that we should go through. There are some problems that we bring upon ourselves. Don't stop walking. You hear me? Come on, forge ahead. That's right. Don't stop walking. Every place that the sole of your foot shall tread upon. Every place. Once again, how much is every? Every is every. All mean all, right? That's what they teach us. All means all. Okay. So every place, every single one that your foot shall tread upon, that I have given unto you, as I said to Moses, excuse me, from the wilderness and this Lebanon, even unto the great river, the river Euphrates, all the land of the Hittites, and unto the great sea toward the going down of the sun shall be your coast. There shall not be any man, there shall not any man be able to stand before thee all the days of thy life. As I was with Moses, as I was with Moses, so I will be with thee. I will not fail thee nor forsake thee. Didn't we just talk about that the other day? I will not fail thee. I will perform it. I do things in excellence. I get a return on my investment. You see all these things we've been talking about, right? I get a return. I invested in you. I invested through Abraham. You got to come back. I invested through Noah when he spoke about what Shem was going to get through, through Ham's son. I'm invested in this. I will make sure it performs. I praise Yah. He didn't say it's your performance. Your performance is necessary for certain things, but it's not. I praise Yah. The word is not based off of solely your performance, because his word, he will ensure that it performs. That's why you need him on the inside to help you out. So no man, hear what I'm saying? No man shall be able to stand before thee all the days of thy life. Now, this is a faith statement that needs to match up with works. Because now when somebody stands before you, now when a situation comes before you, now when something is different than what you thought it should be, now when somebody seems to be a bad person or whatever, now all of a sudden, oh, his word's not true. Remember we said that before? Do you trust his word? Remember we asked that question? He said, I'm going to, what was that? What was that? Somebody, where were we the other day? Was that Philippians chapter 1, verses 3-6? Let's go there real quick. Was that where we were? I believe it was. Philippians chapter 1, verses 3-6. Where Paul says this, Philippians chapter 1, verses 3-6. Paul says, I thank my Elohim upon my every remembrance of you, always in every prayer of mine, for you all making requests with joy, for your fellowship in the interpretation of the word that's true, that's lawful, that causes you to have a proper reward from the first day until now, being what? Confident of this very thing. What is he confident about? Being confident of this very thing, that he which hath begun a tabach work. In other words, if Yah started it, he's going to make sure it performs. If he started it, he's going to finish it. And he's going to keep working on it and keep making sure it performs until the day Christ comes back. So if it says that he begun it, you got to ask yourself, do you believe he begun? Because if he begun it, now then the next question that we said is what? Well, is it he begun it or you begun? He began or you began? Have you begun something that he didn't begin? Whatever, right? Have you began something he didn't begot? You're trying to start something that he didn't put a seed. It's not his seed that you're trying to give birth to something through. We have to ask ourselves, in all honesty, right? Excuse me. Right? We have to ask ourselves in all honesty. Sorry. Excuse me. How have we begotten? Or have we began something he didn't begot? Have we started something he didn't birth? How you doing, Auntie Marion? Sorry, excuse me for not saying shalom to you. If he's begun it, he must perform it. If he performs it, it must be performed in excellence. If he said it's going to work, then it's going to work. If he said make plain, make plain. If he said write down the vision, write it down and make it plain upon the tablets. He performs. Right? So I say this all the time. I'm not saying it's easy all the time. What I'm saying is we can make it easier, though. Gee, did you get in this? Now here we go back to the thing. Remember I said, right, context matters. But remember I said earlier, don't off your flesh to the point to where you are, right? Don't off your flesh or don't deny the flesh to the point to where you deny yourself. That being said, the parts that you shouldn't keep are the parts that you're afraid for him to prune. Is it John 15, I believe? Let's go to John 15. I think that's where we're going. John 15, if I'm not mistaken. John chapter 15, this is the Messiah speaking. This is who speaking? This is Messiah. This is the anointed one. This is the oil speaking. John 15 says, I am the true vine, and my Father is the husbandman. This is Christ speaking. Christ says, I am the true vine. I'm not just the vine. How you doing, Sister Nadine? I'm not just a vine. He says, I'm the true vine. This vine is a mop. It don't get no more true than me. That's what Christ is saying. I am the true vine, and my Father is the husbandman. Every branch in me that beareth not fruit, he taketh away. And every branch that beareth fruit, he purgeth it, that it may bring forth more fruit. Now ye are clean, ye are lawful through the word, through the safe place for the word. You should be what? Lawful, clean. Now ye are clean through the word which I have spoken unto you. Abide, live in me, and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit of itself, except it abide in the vine, no more can ye except ye abide in me. I am the vine, ye are the branches. He that abideth in me and I in him, the same bringeth forth much fruit, for without me you can do nothing. If a man abide not in me, he is cast forth as a branch, it is withered, and men gather them and cast them into the fire, and they are burned. If ye abide in me, and my words abide in you, ye shall ask what ye will, and it shall be done unto you. Herein is my Father glorified, that ye bear much fruit, so shall ye be my disciples. Safe place for the disciples. Now, why is it a safe place for the disciples? Because it's a safe place for him. The vine doesn't get caught, that doesn't get cast into the fire. So be connected to him. But remember, he just said, watch this. Let's go back to John 15, verse 2. Every branch in me that beareth not fruit, he taketh away. And every branch that beareth fruit, he purgeth it, that it may bring forth more fruit. So what happens is that we make the assumption. How you doing, Minister Morel? Thanks for being on. How you doing, Devontae? We make the assumption that we have a bad thought process concerning this. I'm on, Sister Sarah, right? We have this bad place that we're in. How you doing, Marcus? Where in your mind, you confuse a branch that's purged with a branch that's taken. How you doing, 10 toes down? Right? A lot of us, what you're doing is you're making the mistake of confusing a branch that's removed with a branch that's being purged. See, because technically it's just about the same thing, but there's a slight difference that makes all the difference in the world, right? The branch that is taken, hear this, beloved. Catch this, peep game. How you doing, Kirsten? Peep game. The branch that is taken is the branch that didn't bear any fruit. You should know the tree by the fruit it bears. If it doesn't bear any fruit, then it's not even part of the tree. It's withered. It's done, right? So the branch that's taken is really not even part of the tree. Even if it's still attached, even if it still has life, it's really not alive. Take that, right? But the branch that's going to be kept has to have a piece of it removed so that it can bear more fruit. And it seems like when I'm going through a situation, when y'all might be removing, right, a branch, right? Cats miss that. So you're dealing with two branches. Hey, what are you doing? You're dealing with two branches, basically. And cats miss that. Like, yo, just because there's a branch being removed or a part of the branch is removed, it doesn't mean that that the branch is removed fully. It means that I got to get rid of the piece that's causing me not to have further growth. So a lot of cats will look and be like, oh, this one thing's being removed, and you think that means a branch is being taken completely. No, if I want fruit to grow properly, I got to actually go to that branch and I have to prune it in such a manner to where now I can get more out of it than what I did before. And it actually hurts, right? In almost the same manner as if the branch is completely cut, but you're not completely cut off. Right. And you have a bad mindset with that. Like, it's completely cut off. It's not completely cut off. He's pruning. And so pruning is different. And why does it say he prunes? Because we need more growth. So Yah will come out with the scissors and we'll be sitting there and be like, oh no, he's coming with them scissors. Right. We know it's cut time. And he starts cutting. And things that we're like, I don't want to be cut, because there's a fear that if he cuts, well, what if he cuts me off? No, he's not cutting you off. He's cutting the things off that are causing a lack of growth, but he's still allowing you to stay attached to the vine. So even when he's cutting us, you're still safe. You're safe not because of the cut, right? Or that you haven't been cut. Both parties are cut. It's not that you're safe because you haven't been cut, or that you're right. It's safe. You're safe because you're still attached. Come on, catch it now. It's not that you're safe because you haven't been cut. It's safe because you're still attached. Both will be cut. The one that doesn't bear fruit has to be cut off. The one who bears fruit, and we want more fruit from them, we must cut them, but we'll only cut one part. We won't cut you off. So now this is where it's hard, because Yah's coming in and he's saying, it's time for me to take the scissors. And you're like, oh my goodness, he's cutting off my children. He's cutting off my finances. He's cutting off my job. He's cutting off this. What in the world? Yeah, but he hasn't cut you off. You're still attached. When he cuts you off, you'll find out there is no, you wither. That's a different cut. Right? Even when Yahavah's cutting us, even when Yah's cutting us, we are still safe. So I've become more aware and more excited even when I see certain things cut, because I know, oh, last time that was cut, this grew. Go ahead, cut that off. I shouldn't have had that. Thank you for the love. Right? I shouldn't have had that last time anyway. Go ahead, cut that off. Right? Cut that person off. Last time there was somebody acting like that, you cut them off. Man, I grew by football fields. Yeah, cut it off. Yeah. Right? This is John chapter 15. Right? So when he's pruning us, it says that he prunes us because he's cutting us, right? There's those who are cut off completely, And then there are those who are cut so that you can grow more. You're not cut off. I wish I had, I don't really have any branches, or else I'd show you. I don't know. Give me a second. Or hold up. Praise you. Ram in the bush, right? Okay. I still need one more though. Give me a second. I'll be right back. I don't know if I'll find another branch, or maybe we'll. I don't know. Hold on one second. Okay, so we're gonna play a little bit of pretend, because obviously this is not exactly what I was trying to use as an example, but it is what it is. So we're gonna play a little bit of pretend, right? Use our imaginations. Okay, but let's say this is the vine. All right, everybody see? Hopefully you can see, right? This is the vine, right? And these are the branches. All right, so we have vine, we have branches. Okay, so this one horizontal, this is vine. These are branches. Okay. Now what happens is that Most High comes and he needs fruit. He knows it's the wintertime, whatever, but he also, and anybody who's ever cut, during the wintertime, if you have bushes, stuff like that, you actually prune them during the wintertime so that when they grow back up, they're gonna grow back and they're gonna grow back with a vengeance. Right. So you actually prune them and you actually will cut them down, and people be like, why are you cutting that thing down? And persons think, they swear like you really like cutting that down. It's not gonna grow back. It's gonna grow back. It's gonna grow back crazy. But Yah sees this. He sees some things on here that are growing that might make it difficult for some fruit to grow. So he comes in and he is going to remove this. But what happens here is this has a little bit of stuff on it, but this seems like it's going to be more acceptable for fruit to grow. So what he does is confusing, because he'll take, and I hope I don't jack this up, but okay. So he'll cut a little bit of this off. It hurts, by the way. It hurts the branch when it's cut. But this is still attached. But what he does with the other one is he just cuts it off. And he's done. This branch is still attached, but it's been cut. The other branch is not attached because it's been cut. You see the difference? Right? You were the branch that's been cut, but it's still attached. So since you're attached to the vine, when spring hits, you will still grow because you're still attached, even though there's some things that just happened that hurt. But the one that was detached, the one that's been cut off, that one will wither and die. And all is good. And the only thing that it's valuable for now is for somebody to gather it up and use it for some firewood or something, because it's not going to grow fruit. Right? So Yah will prune or trim or even cut off the branches of the vine. Right? It's not that he's getting rid of you, but there can be confusion, because guess what? Guess where the other person, Minister Shante was talking about this in her earlier when she was teaching for Early Rising Bible Study session. This is not, once again, this is not for everybody, this Bible, this word. And when it says the branches will be cut off, it's not talking about those who are not even connected to Christ. Right? Like when it talks about religious leaders, don't think of the religious leaders as being somebody who's not in your assembly. Your religious leaders in your assembly can act like Pharisees and Sadducees and scribes of the Bible that were talked about being the hypocrites. It's not talking about others, it's talking about us. And within us, there are persons who are attached to the same vine. Don't miss that. He says, he's talking about himself. He says, I am the vine and ye are the branches. Ye can do nothing without me. And there are some of you that are going to be without fruit. So since you'll be without fruit, guess what? He says, you're going to be cut off. But there are some of you who will not be cut off. You will just be cut. There are things that are on you that are causing you to not grow as much fruit as you could, because the goal, once again, remember, excellence is difficult. Mediocrity is average. The average person is okay with mediocrity. So he says, I'm not okay with you just growing fruit. I want you to grow more fruit. That's why I'm pruning you. I'm cutting them because they don't grow fruit. I'm cutting you because you could grow more. Either way, the scissors are coming out. But just because the scissors come out doesn't mean it's not safe, right? If it's not a safe place, it's because those persons that are cut off, they're making it unsafe. Because you know, if something doesn't grow fruit long enough, it will affect the branches that grow fruit. Right? So you got to make the cut. My greatness. Come on, Holy Spirit. You got to make the cut. This is the safe place. The safe place is when you make the cut. You know, anybody ever tried out for a team? You try it for the team, and there's 50 persons that show up. And after the first couple practices, it's very apparent, okay, there's 20 of y'all ain't gonna make it for sure. Right? Then there's 30 left. And then we start going through certain drills and things like that. And okay, so and so they need to work on stuff. They might not be varsity yet. They can be on JV. Right. And then there's like and then we get into a place where we might only be able to have 12 on the bench. So we're getting now it's like 18 left. And now some persons ain't worried, right? Because especially the stars in the team, but a lot of other persons, they worry, right? Because even if you are pretty decent, but you could have a bad day, a bad tryout. You could have a bad shooting moment, right? But we get to a point to where we start getting to a place, and the further it gets, right, the closer it gets, the more unsafe it is for those who are on the outside, who are just barely making it, the ones who are barely putting in, the ones who are not. You see what I'm saying? Those who are locked in, those who have been practicing, those who have been ready, those who are practicing all day, every day, those who have been working with the coach during the off season so that they would already know the coach's heart and desire and everything when it came time to play, they're not as worried as everybody else is. Only those that are on the fence are worried. And then finally, there's only 12. We get down to eventually where there's only 12 left, right? The scissors didn't come for the persons who remained on the team. They were never in an unsafe place. But those who got out the team, yeah, they were worried when them scissors come out. I don't get worried when the scissors come out, because just because you're cutting something off that was attached to me doesn't mean that I'm no longer attached to you. But those who don't produce fruit, we know the first day that it's time to play. We know the first day when we're supposed to figure out who's praying and who's not. You hear what I'm saying? You hear what I'm saying? The first time when we're going to figure out, okay, this person actually is living what they say. We're going to find out right now. So-and-so, trigger warning, excuse me, because I know a couple of you have lost some family members. But when that person loses the family members, let's see what they're saying. I'm not saying they can't be sad, but let's see what they're saying. So we're going to tell. When you go through a health concern, how you treating everybody? We're going to find out. Because you're going through a health concern, are you allowed to be a jerk? We're going to find out. Because life hit you hard, are you going to stop believing? We're going to find out. Because your bills aren't being paid, are you finished with Yah? We're going to find out. See, the scissors come out, right? Because now we're going to see, where's your fruit? Oh, I don't see no fruit. Well, if there's no fruit, you are something that's not helping the vine. But if you're somebody who's attached to the vine and is developing fruit, we're going to cut you. We're going to cut other things off from you so that we can make sure that you grow more. You got to make the cut. When those scissors come out, it's a safe place. I'm on. Praise God. That's a word for somebody. Somebody need to hear that. When them scissors come out, don't be running. I can't believe, did you see this person's going through and this person's going through and this person, and then the world, this is what's happening, and then this, and they're not making money, and Trump said, and Biden had said, and Biden, he let his children go, and now Trump's back in, and he's saying that he's going to rename the Gulf of Mexico. That ain't got nothing to do with you. That's not even your vine. You're in the divine. You're divine. What you talking about? That's not even your vine. Your vine is divine. And you worried about that. How you doing, Keith? Right? How you worried about that? Your vine is divine. You know, my ex was saying, and they don't take care of their children like they're supposed to, and they're trying to take me to court, and blah, blah, blah. Your vine is divine. You mean your whole life? Yeah, don't be distracted, right? You mean your whole life is about to flip because of something that's not even attached to you, or are you attached to the wrong vine? We might have to figure that out. We might have to figure that out. Maybe that's why you're so worried, because you're attached to the wrong vine, because the vine that I am supplies all my needs according to his riches and glory. And his father, right? The father is the husbandman. He comes through and he makes sure, and whatever he cuts because he knows that I have more fruit to give. I'm not tripping off of being of what happens to those that are fruitless. I have too much fruit to worry about that. The season that I don't have, and by the way, it comes and goes in seasons. So if I'm not producing fruit, I'm not upset when it's seasonless. Right? I'm not scared when it's seasonless, because when it's not the season for me to grow fruit, that's not something that you use to cut somebody. But when it comes time for my season, I know in the spring I blossom. And I know in the summer, cats can't wait to be underneath me for shade and get this food. And I know in the fall time, persons can't wait to see me when I'm falling apart. Persons are sitting there looking at me while I'm falling apart saying, look at the beauty, look at the colors, look at the awesome, right? Hey, like, you got to know who you are. Even in the wintertime, when I shrink down, I'm just preparing myself for the next season. I'm safe when the scissors come out. I made the cut. Have you? You should be like a tree planted by the rivers of water that in the season giveth forth much fruit. When you give forth a lot of fruit, people don't people don't get rid of what feeds them. Crazy folk bite the hands that feed them, but not in the kingdom. In the kingdom, if you feed the people, we keep you around. Come on, somebody. In the kingdom, we keep you. If you feeding folk, we got to keep you. We got to sow into that. We got to make your business great. We got to tell persons about you. We got to make sure that you feel great. We got to let you know you are much appreciated and much loved, right? We got to help you to know that we are here for you because you feeding folk. This is a safe place for those who feed. You feed too many folk. You feed too well. I know in other places they try to make fun of you and say you a big girl and this and that. But over where I'm from, shoot, you got a little bit of this down at the bottom. That means you cook, baby girl. We got to protect you. You hear what I'm saying? Let them talk bad about you over there, but you got a little bit of this over here. Shoot, that's attractive over here because we know that you eat. You eat and you cook well, right? I ain't saying you don't be in shape. I'm just trying to tell you there's certain places you in the wrong vibe. You hear what I'm saying? You in the wrong vine. I grew up with North Carolina folks. I didn't grow up in North Carolina. I went there from time to time. But my folk, at least on my father's side, Cherokee, but also they Carolinian. And in Carolina, we see this. We know that you cook. Right? Right? Other places they don't worry about if sisters cook. All right. Over right until they mad that they don't. Over here, shoot, when we see that you can cook, that's a sign that something's going well. We ain't mad at it. I'm not saying you can't be thin or skinny or something. I'm not saying everybody got to be super thick and all this stuff. What I'm trying to tell you though is that you might be connected to the wrong vine if you can't be looked at for how beautiful you are. And if somebody gonna get on you because you're beautiful, right, then they need to go ahead and go somewhere. Shoot, mess around with a Samoan and try to talk bad about his wife because his wife is overweight. Matter of fact, over there, his wife will go ahead and put it to you herself. Mess around with it if you want. But I'm just saying, it's a safe place. You're going to feed somebody over here. Hey, feed them. We ain't worried about stretch marks over here. I'm not saying have a body full of stretch marks if you're uncomfortable with it. What I'm saying is, just like Cat Williams once preached a sermon a long time ago, so to speak. He once said a long time ago in a special what? Hey, if you real brothers understand that if you got stretch marks, one or two things happen. You was either small and got big or big and got small. Either way, a block dot. Either way, right? Because that right, you might be part of the wrong vine. I'm just trying to say there's so many different things. Hear what I'm saying, beloved. I'm saying it in a comical fashion, but hear what I'm saying, beloved. Right? Yah has made you who you are, and you feed the people, and you nourish them, and you create fruit. and you make it a place to where everybody can be in the environment, and you are a great reflection on the tree, on the nation that you are attached to. Why in the world are you allowing somebody to make you feel unsafe? Once again, I have to say, allowing somebody, if you are the fruit and the tree and the branch is cut off and is withering away, is making fun of you while it withers. Do with that what you will. If you are the fruit attached to the tree and everybody can't wait to get your seed or get your fruit and get the fleshly greatness that has the H3O2 and all the water and stuff, there's so much water in it that there's animals that never even worry about going to a river or anything because they get all the sustenance that they need from you. And here's a branch that's cut off and withering away, making fun of you, and you're sitting up there giving this branch that's withering all of your brain space. I'm so worried about what the one that's cut off is saying. They cut off. Yeah, let the dead bury the dead. They cut off. They're withering. You hear what I'm saying? They're withering. I can't believe my family member. They're withering. You don't think that persons that are dead in spirit do dead things? You don't think that unhappy persons like to make others unhappy? You don't think that misery likes company? Live long enough, then you'll find out. Live long enough, you'll find out. I can't come back because, somebody over there I don't like or whatever. Don't like, you ain't commanded to like nobody. You commanded to love. And you can only love what you allowed to love. Salah. Anyways, safe place. Oh, come on. Don't allow what's with it to wither you. That's right. Safe place. This is why you teach your children, right? They get that strawberry box or whatever, and they say, Dad, Mom, I see that this strawberry, it's got white stuff on it. Don't even worry about it. Right? What are you trying to teach them? Even if you know how to be able to decipher which strawberries you might still be able to eat, you teach your child a little different at that stage. Why? Because you don't even want them to go through or get sick or do whatever. Why? Why don't you want it? Why don't you want them to do that? Because you know that one bad strawberry is a sign that all of them. What they say, one bad apple spoils the whole bunch, or one rotten apple spoils the whole bunch, right? And it's so true. I used to think to myself, I did experiments when I was younger. You have a bowl of fruit. That's back in the day when we used to actually have bowls of fruit. I don't know when that stopped. It doesn't seem like persons do that anymore. But everybody used to have bowls of fruit, and you have a bowl of fruit, and you have your and I'd have an apple, right? Sometimes it'd just be nothing but apples, and I'd be like, you know what? This apple is bruised. I'm gonna put it on the outside. I'm gonna put the bruise on the outside. Let's see what happens. A couple days later, oh, that's not just bruises on this apple, but it's bruised on this. And not just, but I thought it was a bruise, but it was something diseased. Right? But it's the truth. Right? Like one thing, right? One thing out of pocket. This is why we have to make sure that we try to make sure that our weak links, that this is common links, no weak links, so to speak, or these are all kingdom links, not common links. Right? Kingdom sense versus common sense. You get the context, right? But the weakest link on the chain is where the person's going. If I'm trying to break in, I'm not trying to break in where the chain is strong. Accept your request. I'm sorry, unwavering faith. That's not normally how I would go about asking anybody permission to do anything. But Shalom, how you doing? I don't know. Do we know each other? This isn't always the platform that we do that in. But I'm sorry. What would you like to talk about? Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, what we're talking about. I mean, there's probably others that do, but these are more like this is something dealing with review on something we've been doing for about a month. So we're kind of talking about that. We're not just talking, randomly today. But I don't want to assume. I don't know if what would you like to talk about? But welcome. And welcome to being on. I think you've been on with us before, right? At least once, I think so. Could be wrong. But yeah, and shalom to everybody. Peace coming on for coming on different platforms today. Thank you for being with us today. So yeah, so we're finishing up talking about hashtag a safe place. We've been doing this series since January 1st, just about every day. Minus days off, just about every day. We've done actually I think every day except for 2 days. I think that except for 2 days, right? But how you doing, Brother Craig? But yeah, so in this, we're kind of taking time to just review and see even the persons have questions and see within the space of hashtag a safe place and seeing what we can do to answer that and see how we can even use the knowledge that we've been given to get to where we are. And so, yeah, but we're in this. We've talked about a safe place for the word. We talked about a safe place for marriage, safe place for children, safe place for husband, safe place for wife, a safe place. And we do Q&A, by the way, all the time. This is semi Q&A ish, like semi Q&A today. We'll be doing, the real Q&A actually on Thursday. And you can still come on. I'm just waiting to see. I don't know what you'd actually like to talk about. Excuse me. And whatever it is, got to be respectful, which I believe you would be. But a safe place for leadership, a safe place for you. Remember we talked about that. A safe place for you, a safe place for excellence, a safe place for. This kind of testimonies, but what did I say? Whenever there's a planning meeting, it's going to equal letting go, right? We're planning on doing things and moving forward, right? How you doing, Second Nature? So that's what we've been on for a while, and it's important that we talk about this, because these are things that moving ahead we need, including even with leadership, right? A safe place, not just for leadership, but a safe place for leadership. Somebody says, "What?" Yeah, not just a safe place for leadership, right? Or a safe place for leadership, right? Which is what? When we say a safe place for leadership, we're talking about a safe place for those who are leaders, sure, but also a safe place for leadership. What does true leadership look like? No, I don't know. I've heard about Pastor Dow. Somebody told me to try and speak to Pastor Dow. I don't think we've ever had the opportunity to speak one for another, right? So this should be a safe place for you to have proper leadership, and that means proper leadership, myself included. And I'm not just talking about ministerial staff, because all of us are leaders in some way, shape, or form, and all of us are being given tasks. And if you haven't been given one, be around here long enough, right? We won't start you up with something monumental. Be here around here long enough, you're gonna get something, right? Or see a need for something to fill in, right? And thank y'all for the love, right? But hear what I'm saying, beloved. When I say a safe place for leadership and a safe place for leadership, we have to be a safe place. Okay, when somebody falls, this means in your home too, by the way. But even with this, of course, with SOC, when somebody falls, before we start asking them certain questions, ask if they're okay. When your husband falls, he done already hit the ground. I don't think he needs you to tell him that he hit the ground. Right? Right? See, you hit the ground. Had you just been this and you listen and now that, look, he already his face bleeding, right? His kneecaps is scuffed, his elbows is jacked up, his nose is broken. I think he understands that he fell. Right? Okay. So now that we done established that he fell, right? Ask him how he feels. See if you can help him up. See if you can turn him over and get him off his face. See if you can bandage him up. He fell already. Like we got that piece. We got that part, right? Yes, your wife's already. Yes, your wife's embarrassed. Had you just listened, you wouldn't have had to go through this embarrassment. I told you not to talk like this and blah, blah, blah. Look, she's embarrassed. We've already established she's embarrassed. We've already established, right? She finally talked to the wrong one and somebody got she embarrassed. Okay. I don't think you need to tell her she's embarrassed. Yeah, don't just poke at them with the stick, right? Right? They already hurting. So we have a safe place even for those. And we even talked about that, right? We didn't call it hurt. Did we call it hurt? A safe place for hurt? For a safe place, something like that, right? Safe place for hurt, a safe place for healing. Where we talked about that we have to recognize that persons are hurt and that everybody is hurt. Right, the Captain Obvious stuff, yeah. Everybody ready to say, oh yeah, this and that and this, blah, blah. Like, look, they know. Safe place for pain. Thank you, that's what it was. The person's in pain. That's why they came to the hospital. That's why they came to the doctor. The person's in pain. That's why they came to you. The person's in pain. That's why they're looking for a scripture. Well, it's too late. Had you used the word and blah blah. I mean, right. And even by the way, you have to be careful because sometimes we don't even mean it to come off in those manners, but we don't think about once again like where is the person at? You might not even mean anything to the person, but where's the person at the moment? This is where empathy should take flight, right? Empathy. Sympathy can be overrated. Empathy never is. Like you can fight somebody to the death and still empathize. You don't believe so? There are soldiers who have taken the lives of persons, and they'll tell you that even if that person was their enemy, when they saw the person, right, and even the person, they had to make a decision. They were going to go home to their families regardless. But when they took the person's life, even as the person was losing their life and looking at them, they were looking at them and they said, wow, like this person died for what they believe. You know, we're both here because somebody sent us here. Sometimes they're even like, who knows who's right and who's not. You know, and that's somebody fighting to the death. Y'all not even fighting to the death. Sometimes somebody coming to you and they're just trying to tell you what they're going through, or you don't even know what they're going through. Have the empathy, right? This is why your Bible gives parables, and some of the parables start off like this: a certain man. And thank you for the love, right? A certain man doesn't mean that the man didn't exist, or a certain woman doesn't mean that the woman didn't exist. Right? When it says a certain person or a certain man, certain woman, it's saying put yourself, that's a cultural thing. Put yourself in that person's position. Right? That's what that means. So whenever you see a parable that says a certain man, you need to think to yourself, if I was in that position, how would I react? Or put myself in that position so that I can actually empathize and I can feel it and go through it without, right? Case study. I can go through it without having to go through it. That's in essence what's being done there. So, for example, let's do a little bit of this. You ready? Let's do a little bit of this. Let's look up a couple of scriptures with a certain man, just to give you context, right? And by the way, that's something that not just Christ uses. In case somebody still wants to argue against that, you'll find a certain man in Ruth, in Genesis. You'll find First Samuel, I think, a couple times, a certain man. Right. So a lot of persons think that that's just parabolic only. He's making up a story. That's saying that when you hear this, you need to put yourself in the position of that person. That's what that means. All right. So a certain man, Matthew chapter 17, verse 14. Let's go there. Right. Matthew chapter 17, verse 14. Let's go here real quick. A certain man. Daniel and Judges. All right. So Matthew chapter 17, verse 14, it says this. It says, and when they were come to the multitude, there came to him a certain man, kneeling down to him and saying, so this means what? Put yourself in that position. So when they came down, right, and come to the multitude, there came Kofi, kneeling down to him. It hits different for me already because I got the reference, right? So this is a safe place for me to go through something without having to go through it. Empathy, right? And when they were come to the multitude, there came to him a certain man, kneeling down to him and saying, Adon, Lord, have mercy on my son, for he is a lunatic. Now, lunatic, by the way, means persons that worship the moon. So could this person have possibly worship the moon? Maybe, but something is off with mental health, and really this ends up being somebody who is possessed. So this means that you can be a person who is holy, who is Israel, who obeys the law, who knows Christ is king, and still has a son or a daughter or a child that can be what? That can be going through some things with mental health, that can be even dealing with some stuff as far as demon possession. When you hear something like that and you put yourself in the position of a certain man, it helps you to realize that, oh, all of us can have issues. Everyone falls short. And I shouldn't necessarily just go at somebody because, or say something about somebody, or think something about somebody because they're going through something that I have not experienced. And I'm trying to use that, therefore, as some kind of measuring stick to say that I'm greater than they. You see that? So a certain man, put yourself in that person's position, came kneeling down to him and saying, Lord, have mercy on my son, for he is a lunatic and sore vexed, and for oft times he falleth into the fire and oft into the water. And I brought him to thy disciples. I even brought him to the persons that rode with you or that are under you, and they could not cure him. So this hits different, even more so for me than it even did before. And Yahashavai answered and said, O faithless and perverse generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I suffer for you? Bring him hither to me. And Yahashavai rebuked the devil, and he departed out of him. And the child was cured from that very hour, from that very moment. He never dealt with it again. And then came the disciples to Yahashavai apart and said, Why could we not cast him out? And Yahashavai said unto him, Because of your unbelief. For verily I say unto you, if ye have faith as a grain of mustard seed, ye shall say unto this mountain, Remove hence to yonder place, and it shall remove, and nothing shall be impossible unto you. Howbeit this kind goeth not out but by prayer and fasting. All that we usually focus on the end, not realizing that we were supposed to put ourselves in the position of the man who had a child and came to the person who was the leader of the organization, so to speak, because he went to the persons that were lower and they didn't have certain things in order. And so therefore, this man was able to get healed by the Messiah, which really is the person we're dealing with, right? Truly, the Messiah. And then the Messiah has to tell the disciples, you're not on par because you didn't have the faith, right? Once again, faith without works is nothing, but works without faith is nothing as well, has no life. So you can be the person who's speaking all these great things and doing this, and you can have cast out demons, but there are certain devils, there are certain demons that are not leaving anybody until what? Until you fasted and prayed. You got to let some things go, and you got to be in communication with the Most High, right? And sometimes regarding that particular thing. But that was something where he was prepared before it happened. The disciples were not, and they lived with him. They saw how he lived. They saw certain things. So this certain man saw all these things happening and saw that healing wasn't going to take place, right, just by anybody, and saw that some persons have made their way to a certain position. That's what you get out of a certain man. That's empathy. Empathy causes you to read that whole scripture different, right? Let's go to another certain man. Let's go to another certain man, right? These are you putting yourself in position, right? Let's go to another certain man. Luke chapter 8, verse 27. See, and these are safe places for you to go to empathize. This is in the word. You can go in the word, in case study, empathize with somebody. A lot of you can't get what the scripture says because you can't even empathize. Right? And I'm not trying to talk back. Look, if the shoe fits, wear it. If it doesn't, take it off. A lot of persons can't even empathize. So it's difficult for you to get a word that blesses you and blesses your house and blesses your family, continues to bless your community because you don't even have the empathy. You don't even have the empathy, the ability to be able to say, I'm going to put myself in someone else's position that I might be able to comprehend what Yah has for me in the scripture. So here we go, Luke chapter 8, verse 27. Right? Luke chapter 8, verse 27. It says this, it says, and when he went forth to land, there met him out of the city a certain man. Put yourself in the position of this person. Wait a minute, I don't want to put myself, I'm not going to speak over me. Blah, blah. Steve Harvey will tell you straight up, he likes the verses that he likes, he keeps those. The ones that he doesn't like, he doesn't listen to those. That's not how this works. The whole scroll, eat the whole scroll. Revelation chapter 10, eat the whole scroll. All right, so verse 27, and when he went forth to the land, there met him out of the city a certain man. You got to put yourself in this person's position, which had devils long time. So wait a minute, you can have devils long time. Yes, you. We pray it doesn't happen, but empathize. Because even if it never happens to you, maybe you'll think differently when you deal with somebody that is dealing with it. It comes to them from a place of empathy rather than a place of saying they deserve it and blah, blah, and all this stuff, right? Right? And when he went forth to the land, and there met him out of the city a certain man, which had devils long time, and wear no clothes. He was naked, neither abode in any house, homeless, but in the tombs. He was in a dead place. Look at all this stuff, right? Had been dealing with devils for so long that he felt naked. You ever felt naked? Anybody ever been in a position where you felt like you were uncovered? Anybody in a position to where you felt like you had no place to go? Even if you were living somewhere, you felt like you were by yourself. Anybody ever felt like you were in a position to where you were abiding in dead things, tombs, dealing with things that should have passed on, should have been dead, should have forgiven persons that have moved on, all this stuff. This is what it's talking about. Put yourself in this person's position. Verse 28, when Yahashavai, he cried out, or when he saw Yahashavai, excuse me. So when he saw the Messiah, when he finally saw the Lord, even with the devils in him, dealing with all this stuff, put yourself in this man's position. He still, what? He fell down before him. This means that even though this person is possessed, you might be too busy talking about he deserved, he didn't get, he blah, blah. Even with all this stuff going on, he saw the Messiah. It doesn't say Yahashua said something to him. It said when he saw Mashiach, when he saw Messiah, he cried out and fell down before him, and with a loud voice said, what have I to do with thee, Yahashua, Son of the Most High? I beseech thee, torment me not. Now, obviously, this is not him speaking. This is those that are inside him, right? For he had commanded the unclean spirit to come out of the man. For oftentimes it had caught him, and he was kept bound with chains and fetters, and he brake the bands and was driven of the devil into the wilderness. And Yahashua asked him, saying, what is thy name? This means that if you're not careful, there can be a name that you're dealing with. This name means what? Authority. Right? There's recognition of the truth. Even demons quake at the name of Yahashua, right? All right. So he says, what is your name? Who authorized you to be in this person? Or what authority is it that you have? Who do you work for? This is a conversation going on within the man, even though he's not even really talking to the man, but he's talking to the man, but he's not talking to the man. You get what I'm saying? See, this is stuff. Put yourself in this person's position. Put yourself in this person's position. He said, what is your name? He said, Legion, because many devils were entered into him. He said, we call Legion. Legion is about 5,000, by the way. When you do your research, a legion of troops, that's 5,000. Now, who knows if it was exactly 5,000, but basically, if you're dealing with Rome, if you're dealing with the Greeks, if you're dealing with Israel, even at the time, the way they would have, right? You're dealing. So he says, "What's your name? Who is?" Because I know the person in there is not the person I see. Right? Who are you? He asked him his name, and the devil said, Legion. And they besought him that he would not command them to go out into the deep. Right? And we know the rest of it, the herd, the swine, and all that. But I just want to show you a certain man. You're not even catching what's being said. That you can be in a position right? This man is strong, by the way. Because somebody's strong, does it mean that they don't have a demon or they can't have one? And by the way, the man wasn't somebody without any kind of sense whatsoever, but he did something that allowed, or he touched something, or he was around something that allowed him to be possessed, something that authorized him being possessed, because demons have no authority outside of what they're given. This person was attached to something that allowed legions to come in. This is why I tell persons, look, study to show yourself approved, do stuff. But I'll be telling persons, please take time out to build yourself up. If you're a babe and you want a sincere milk, you might not be ready for state. And some of y'all are trying to take some things, and I see it happen all the time, man. It hurts my heart. I'll see persons come in and they on fire and they doing things, and they can start coming to me and they start saying, Pastor Kofi, I've been looking at this and listening to this and reading this, and I'm like, yeah, you might not be ready for that. No. I promise you. And I'm learning. And I might be away from you guys for a little bit, but I promise. And you start, and they go further and further and further away. And then they go to a place where I can't follow at all. I'll leave the 99 and go for the one, but I can't go for the one if it means that the one has gone into some things that are demonic. Somebody go, no, you should be able to walk in the room and just go, didn't Christ just do here? No, like here. No, some of y'all once again are trying to do some stuff you're not called to do. You might not be able to research. Like it would be irresponsible of me. This is why y'all got on academics, right? There are DJ academics recently. It would be irresponsible of me to put some sexual things on my son, right, at this age. This is why it's irresponsible. I say that again, culturally, scripturally, etc. It's irresponsible for a lot of the stuff that y'all be doing with these babies, talking about they should already know what they want to be sexually by the time they're 1-2 years old. Something wrong with you, right? Because it was irresponsible. My son, as much as he's even been taught about sex and about his body and about the female's body, there are certain things that should not be put on him, right? He's not even 10 yet. So there's certain conversations that we've had without having to go too deep into certain things. And there's certain conversations we might not have until he finally gets his training on what it is to be a husband and a father. Right? But just because you see what I'm saying? So there's certain things, and this person, whatever happened, something happened that was so crazy that it authorized legions. Some of these persons that you're looking at that are going through stuff, you don't even see, like, look at their background, look at who taught them, look at what they studied, look at when somebody didn't love them enough to say, hey, put that down, put that book down. See, some of y'all don't like that. If you're a babe and I'm supposed to give you the sincere milk, then that means you're fed from my bosom, spiritually speaking, right? So if you're fed from my bosom, hear what I'm saying? If you're fed from me, what sense does it make scripturally, spiritually speaking, right? If I'm the one who's nursing you, what sense does it make for me to give you steak? And you're 3 months old. We would call that abuse. But for some reason, some of you think that you should be doing things in a certain level. You're not in a safe place. I'm not trying to say this because you don't have an ability to read. No, hear what I'm saying. Well, then they say, oh, you're in a cult. No, if you're supposed to be trained properly and loved properly and raised properly, then it doesn't make sense for me to give you something that will choke the life out of you. We go into some pretty in-depth study and stuff, but I promise you, if you listen over and over again, there's a lot of stuff that I don't force feed you. And if you watched us over the years, some of you have been with us for some years now. Some of you, even if you go back to when we were physically only doing stuff, some of you know it's taken us a little bit of time to get to a place to where we gave you a chance to grow and to come into things. But yes, when we finally say, so now when I finally say, hey, you want to try a French fry for the first time, it's because you're ready for a French fry. Right? You feel it? Come on, I feel this too. You hear what I'm saying? When I say, okay, I'm ready to go ahead and give you some pineapple, I'm gonna give you some pineapple now because you're ready for it. That's right. I can't put the cart before the horse. All right. If I say it's time for you, you see what I'm saying? And I'm gonna do it according to where you are. I'm not gonna give you certain things that I should never give you at certain ages. Your development requires that I don't give you something too soon, right? We so quick because we want to go ahead and get babies off the breast. Look, a baby is an investment. If you're going to have a baby, be ready to invest for 2 to 3 years. They're not supposed to have food. They're not supposed to get rice in the bottle. They're not supposed to get those things. Just because somebody wants to sell you those things because they got a bunch of it and they need to find a way to make money doesn't mean that's what you're supposed to come outside of what you call to be. Parent that baby properly. And the same thing goes spiritually, right? This is a safe place for you to learn and for you to grow. And this person was obviously fed something wild because they didn't just have one demon in them, they had a legion. That's 5,000. 5,000 demons. How unsafe. And they were in Israel, beloved. That's why I keep saying this is not for everybody. This ain't talking about somebody that wants to be out there with thousands of 10,000 millions of demons in them and can't wait to go ahead and let you see them in some kind of weird thing to where they're showing themselves always in some evil manner. No, this is supposed to be kingdom-minded folk that still are allowing things that would cause a legion. You see, you can't, a certain man, a certain woman, a certain person, put yourself, be empathize, learn through case study so that you don't let this happen to you. Now, praise Yah, he still was saved. We're not just gonna leave you out there. If we can get you right, we're gonna get you right. Praise Yah. But hear what I'm saying. We don't even focus on that. Like, this cat was around something crazy enough. He was supposed to be in a safe place, but was in something crazy enough to where he couldn't escape not a demon, but a legion of them. How does that happen in you kingdom? How does that happen in you a holy nation? We got to ask some questions. Something up. What did he touch? Where was he hanging out? Was he into idol worship? Like, what had gotten there? Was there so much heathen things that had gotten into where he was actually dealing with stuff? Was he more into the kingdom of Herod and the temple of Herod than he was not realizing that temple, not a stone, would be left upon a stone, as we talked about the other day? I mean, where was his mind at? This is kingdom that we dealing with this stuff. What company was he keeping? Right. Who was he hanging out with? How many persons had he not forgiven? You know, something like where you get a legion of them. That's a lot of spirits. I'm not gonna hold you. You can't be in pornography like I was, right? Into pornography like I was at one point in my life and not deal with spirits. You can't, right? So I'm gonna just put that out. I know what it is to have unclean spirits on you. And it takes a long time to get them out. I can't imagine 5,000. 5,000 of them. 5,000. Where was the love from his community? You see what I'm saying? A safe place for leadership. Where was the safe place for leadership? Look, man. Look, man, it is what it is. There were men in my family that saw the pornography that I had. You know what their response was? As they walked away, they laughed. You know why they laugh? Well, I mean, I did the same thing. You gonna do the same thing, whatever. I mean, it is what it is. Here, boy. No. Where was the leadership? To my little nephews and friends and boys in the spirit, and girls too, because we be acting like y'all don't go through nothing. I love you enough that if I find you doing some of that stuff, I'm not gonna embarrass you unless you keep doing it. But I love you enough to where I promise you, we're gonna deal with them spirits. That's right. They think it's normal. It's been normalized, all right? But I love you enough where we're gonna deal with them spirits. And that's why I talk about it with the sisters too, because we had this weird thing where we act like men are the only ones that do this stuff. The only ones who are hypersexual. By the way, we act like women, yes, you are hypersexualized. We act like men aren't. You know how I know men are? Because if they weren't, there wouldn't be a such thing as gray sweatpants. Not as far as they wouldn't exist, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. We're not going to go into it. You know what I mean, right? You hear what I'm saying? So we act like women don't over-sexualize as well, and they aren't over-sexualized in that manner, in that regard. And I love you enough to talk about it because, unfortunately, we are a generation where nobody was supposed to talk about hurts. What happened in this house stays in this house. We weren't supposed to talk about the fact that, like, as a man, real talk, as a man, as a boy, right? We were supposed to think of it as a fantasy come to life if an older woman would want to do something with us. And as the girl, we were taught that no older man should want to be able to do anything to them, right? There's a double standard there. And it doesn't just come from the men, right? I know for a fact, some of y'all at SOC, your testimony, sisters, is that you had young brothers and your brothers didn't have to go to church or go to assembly or whatever it is that you went to, but you had to go. And they didn't have to always do their chores, but you did. And they sometimes got women pregnant, and you better not ever be caught having no baby out of wedlock. Come on. I know I ain't lying. I ain't gonna tell nobody's story, but I know I ain't lying. Oh, it freezes that much? Well, I'm sorry. I didn't know it was freezing that much. I didn't know I was freezing that much, you too. But you hear what I'm saying? There's a double standard. I believe all children should be protected. I'm just saying there's a double standard. And this stuff happens over and over and over again, and we allowed it, and we didn't talk about it. And persons were told to just being strong. No wonder we had to have strong sisters. We double standard. Hey, sisters, have these guys do all this stuff to you, but hey, don't say anything about it, because if you say something about it, that means that you're unholy. But how am I unholy? I was a baby. Well, we don't want to hear that. Had you had Christ with you? No. A certain woman, a certain man was possessed by somebody, should have been defended, should have been somebody that could have been taken care of, but we don't think about it. See, we got to have a safe place. All the stuff we've been talking about, this is why it's so important. All these things keep revealing themselves to us and showing themselves to us in all these different ways. Right? And we keep allowing it over and over and over and over and over again. And we don't want to be honest and say, like, at some point, yo, this is wrong. It's mad wrong. This is mad, like, crazy out here. This is some of the craziest work I've ever seen. Right? Look, crazy work where it's not a safe place. See, watch this. I want to make, you know why SOC, one of them. Okay, look, if you haven't been with us long enough, you might not know my heart on this. I'm not trying to come down on you per se, but I just want to be honest with you. I want to be away from Cirque, right? To the point, not to deny the person's coming out of it, but I want to be disassociated enough with it, because it happens. It helps us to get to a place to where stuff isn't so churchy. And when I say that, I mean like this. Church has become a place to where nobody can be wrong. Like, I think I could still deal with church if it wasn't a place where nobody can be wrong. You know what I'm saying? And I don't mean just the pastor. That's bad enough that you can't even question the pastor. Church has gotten to a place, see, because if church was even what it was in the early 1900s, late 1800s, to where at least you actually got your education there, jobs were given there, food was given from there, stuff like that on a regular basis, every day, all day. It was just the hub, it was the place for the community to come. Like, I'd still have mad respect for it. I still do for some, but it's very rare, right? That the cliques and things like that. But see, I'm talking about nobody can be wrong in general. So Somebody in there, they like Christmas trees. You can't tell them that the Bible's against Christmas trees. Somebody's in there, they want to use the name Jesus. You know that the name Jesus means half man, half Zeus. You know, somebody's in there and, you know, somebody's in there and they're using money for ways outside of what the Bible says. You call them out for it. You're not supposed to. You know, it's got to a place to where even you're doing things that are wrong and should be called out, and you can never say I'm wrong. And that's really when pride and all this ambition and things have gone sideways. Call it whatever you want, call it whatever you will. It's gone sideways. It's the wrong way. It's not what it's supposed to be. Because nobody should ever be in a place to where you can't see anything wrong with you. I don't think you should get to a place to where you're seeing everything wrong with you and you can't see anything right either. That's way too far, right? However, we should never get to a place to where I can't tell you you're wrong about it. Like everything I say, no, you got to understand. 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 Look, yeah, that's ego. You said the one you got, you were at God. Okay, I don't know what this. What's you got to teach me? What's alpha? Is that alpha? ALFA? I don't know what ALFA is. I'm sorry. Either that's what you're talking about. The pastor be wrong, and there's a trickle down effect in the people who follow the false doctrine. Well, that too. Yeah, but I'm even saying if the pastor can't be wrong, then nobody can be wrong. Or if the pastor's the only one that can be wrong, that's crazy. See, so what happens is this, right? Like, have you ever noticed? This is one for me, right? I'm out the game, so forgive me if I'm a little off. But I'd spent, almost, I'd say almost 2 decades doing the church thing, right? And even if I was out of it, I still was coming around it to preach and to teach. And if somebody asked me to play music and stuff, so I'm still, I got a significant chunk, not most of my life actually, but still a significant chunk of my life where I've been churchy. Or at least knew what it was to be churchy, right, and to play the game. Here's one thing that always bothered me. When we do the end, right, the invitation, especially in most of our churches, I can't speak for, not all churches do it the same way, but in most of our churches, you'll see what's called an invitation at the end of service, right? We do something from time to time, right? Nothing wrong with an invitation per se, but this is one thing that always bothered me. When you had the invitation at the end, you would have persons who were supposed to, so that there was 3 parts of it. First part of the invitation, or the first invitation extended, however you want to look at it, was for you to be saved. And really what they would do is they would put you through Romans chapter 10, verse 9. They would call it the prayer of salvation or something similar to that. Even though there's no such thing as a prayer of salvation, you have to work out your own salvation, right? So that in of itself, nobody can tell you you're wrong. If somebody were to bring that out, it kind of squashes something that a lot of persons believe made them saved, let alone made them think they have salvation. Saved and salvation aren't even the same word, whether you're talking about Greek, Hebrew, or English context. They're not the same word, right? Because even Romans 10:9 says you will be saved. Romans 10:10 says, but you're still on your way to righteousness and on your way to salvation. So being saved didn't make you righteous, nor did it give you salvation. Literally, right? So right there, I'm already in a place where I'm like, how you doing, Barak Breeder? You're already in a place where you're like, dang, this is kind of whatever, right? But then the next part, the second part, was really damning as far as I'm concerned, because then after that, they would say, anybody who wants to rededicate their lives. And what they would usually mean by that is, you sinned, you fell short, you want to be better. Well, then there's not one person that shouldn't have came up. The only reason why, right? But if somebody does something, usually it has to be something where somebody's shamed or somebody's ashamed enough within themselves. But usually they've been found out, or somebody in that congregation knows that you did something, and so you'll come up to try and make sure that everybody sees that you came up, right? But the reality is like, yo, for real, if it's like all of us, if it's saying rededicate yourself because you fell short, ain't shouldn't be one seat in there with anybody in it. Shouldn't be one pew, one seat, one bench, one chair, right? One stand in the choir. Everybody should be up at peace because everybody needs to get themselves together. Who doesn't need forgiveness for their sins? Who doesn't sin daily? Fall short, miss the mark. I'm going to make a mistake today. When I do that, that's a definition of sin. Which one of y'all? Let's keep it honest. I know. Don't raise your hand. Don't raise your hand. This is the question that you need to answer. All right. Which one of y'all went through this week or this weekend or whatever? Which one of y'all gonna go to the beach this year and not see somebody, and for a split second somebody gonna be wearing something crazy they ain't supposed to be wearing, and in your mind you're gonna have an impure thought? Which one of you shouldn't come up? If that's what if we being honest, which one of y'all shouldn't come up? Which one of y'all, when you see that girl at the beach and she's wearing purple dental floss, ain't gonna have a moment where even if you're disgusted by it, something still in your mind because of the way that you're physically designed is not gonna have a moment where you got to ask for forgiveness. But nobody will. We're not supposed to admit to such things and say we can become stronger in such things, right? But it's weird because you're saying rededicate yourself and be honest and be faithful and be true, but you make persons feel ashamed for being honest and being faithful and being true. So nobody will walk up because if I had to start doing this when we were still having the physical services in the building, right? I had to be honest and be like, yo, I had to keep. I started coming down off the pulpit and making sure that everybody knew that I was coming for prayer because I wanted persons to feel comfortable with no matter what your leadership position is, everybody should come up. And I remember one time I did it in another assembly and the bishop came up to me. He was like, man, I'm so proud of you for coming up. I'm like, and I really needed to come up. He knew the situation. But in my mind, I was like, yeah, but I come up all the time. Because if we're going to be honest about it, if we're saying rededicate, yeah, I'm trying to rededicate my life to Yah every day. Now, somebody says, well, that's going too far. I get it. It's like somebody saying you don't have to be baptized over and over and over again. I get that too. Hear what I'm saying, though, beloved? It's like, yeah, we're gonna read that. We're gonna be what Yah tells us to be, and we're gonna tell the truth. And so, if you're gonna have me part of a ceremony or whatever, and that ceremonial part says, hey, all of us have need to, or those who have fallen short, come and rededicate yourself, then everybody pop up. But what's happened is we don't want to be honest, because if we were honest, then yeah, everybody's on the same level. That means so the pastor can't come up, or the bishop can't come up, or the overseer can't come up, or the apostle can't show up, or whoever it is, the prophet, the evangelist can't come up, the deacon can't come up, the deaconess can't come up, the nurse can't come up, whatever your position is. Right, the usher can't come up, because if they were to come up, then it means they're on the same level as everybody else. But hey, yeah, you are. You're the same. You're on the same level. I'm sorry, Debbie. Hello, how are you doing? I don't know what you said, but you do, and then what was it? But you do, and then what was the other part? It was something else. I apologize. I missed it. Or RCD2F25. Every day we are given opportunities to stand for the Most High or man. Sure. Every day. And every day we have a decision to make. And so we should try our best to be as sin-free as possible. What I'm saying, though, is if we miss the mark, it's okay to be honest and say, yeah, I missed the mark. It's okay to say it should be a safe place for that. Right? We have to lie because many persons have become perfect without even obeying the law. Or many persons have become perfect while believing they can't be perfect. Even though the word says, just stay with me. I know it doesn't make sense now, but hear what I'm saying. Many persons have become perfect and then say that they're not perfect. But the Bible says, "Be ye perfect as your Father in heaven." Excuse me. Be ye perfect as your Father in heaven also is perfect. I think it was Matthew 5:48. So be ye perfect as your Father in heaven also is perfect. Right now, how can I be perfect when I'm not the Father? Because I'm surrounded by His Word or His love, right? By his law. Law does not give rights. Law protects rights. But many persons have said they've been perfected because they don't obey the law. Well, I'm telling you, no man is perfect. You got cognitive dissonance. No man is perfect without a perfect word or law. I'm not perfect within myself. This is why somebody says, well, what do you do to stay in control? I don't have control over anything in my life. I gave that up. Prayerfully, I don't have control over the words I speak to you this day. Prayerfully, I have no control over any sermon. Prayerfully, I have no control over any situation, because the ones that I have control over are the ones that get jacked up. I become perfect when I have no control. Now, somebody will confuse that and try to say, oh, so you're trying to say that you don't have any accountability? No, I'm accountable. Somebody should be able to take account of my actions. Call a spade for a spade. If that's the number 5, then that's the number 5. It's not the number 2. That's how accounting works. Oh, okay, Sister Michelle. Thank you for making that clear. I didn't know that. Okay. Right? But I'm not in control. All right. Watch this. I have land, but it's not my land. I'm the person to be over the land. I have a body, but it's not my body. This is when it becomes a safe place. My body has become a safe place because, right, for the will of Yah, because Yah's inside of me. And when Yah's inside of me, he takes over. So by my own free will, I say, take over, and I want to be, but he doesn't make me a robot. He says, I want you to walk with me. I want to teach you how to do what I did. The talents we talked about yesterday, Matthew chapter 25, right? Starting at verse 14, somewhere in there, right? I want to show you what it is so that when I leave to go and do this, you can just simply do what it is. I'm not by myself. I'm not in control. I don't want to be in control of what I wear. You know what I'm saying? I seek guidance in the clothes. Should I wear this? Should I have this jewelry on today? Should I have this necklace on? Should I promote this? This and that. I pray this stuff out, right? Some plan it out, and I do plan, but I pray it out. And then when I pray it out, that becomes the plan. You know, I know we're supposed to plan, right? But I write down the vision. The vision is I prayed it out, and he told me what to do. And I just simply write it out. And somebody comes in, and then they start planning, they start moving, because others will run with what it is that's written out. You see? So when we talk about a safe place and all this stuff, our goal is to become is to let go of it, as we even talked about in one of our hashtag a safe place things, right? Planning meetings equals letting go of something, right? My goal is to have as little control. I'm a steward. What all a steward does is make sure that he is doing what somebody told him to do. If anybody has the title of steward, they're not in control. They are a guard. They keep it. Said, not my will, but Yahavah's will. Works out smoother that way. I'm on. Minister Stephen, I'm looking at your name. We didn't talk this weekend. My greatness. All right. Well, like I said, I'm gonna be calling y'all more than texting some of y'all anyway. So even if y'all can't answer, just tell me you can't answer. Right? How you doing, Brother Warren? But you see what I'm saying? Like I'm not in control. I'm not in control of my life. And when I'm in control of it, that's when I have the problem. Right? So I let Yah have control. And what he does is since you let me have control, see, it's different than the world. The world says, I want to control you. Yah says, I want to control the environment and place you in it. And when you start thinking like Yah, yeah, go ahead, bro. Please do. Right? And when you start thinking like Yah, then you start living like Yah. That's when you become Christ-like, so to speak. So I want control. So Yah wants control of the environment. He says, live in it. So anybody that comes in the environment, none of us are in control. The standard is the word. The safe place is the word. right? The safe place is the word of Yah. First Corinthians 4 or 5. So the safe place is the word. The safe place is the environment to where all of us say nobody's in control. We have a king, and whatever that king says goes. It makes life so much easier, right? If Yah says this is what a husband is, then I don't worry about what everybody else says in the dating market about on all these different shows. I listen to it to keep up with it because I know somebody gonna ask me a question regarding it. But I don't really worry about what somebody who doesn't even have a wife is trying to tell me about relationships. I'm just gonna be honest. Like, I'm not saying they can't give me nothing, but for real, like, I don't care if you got a doctor behind your name, if you're fake Dr. So and so, if you're Corey Holcomb, if you're whomever. I don't care who you be, whatever part of the spectrum. If you're red pill, if you're feminist, if you're sprinkle, sparkle, whatever it is, I don't care. Like, because my goal is husband. What are you giving me that helps me to be a better husband towards my wife? And if you ain't got nothing for me in that, then there's no fruit on that. That's why you got cut off. You know what I'm saying? Like, all these different persons, all these different things, right? Person talking about this, that, or whatever. I'm not saying you can't give me anything, but what I'm saying is the standard. So if your standard, right? So what's my stand? Like, your standard for me is marriage. And by the way, that's why we don't really have a singles ministry, is because your standard is what? Your standard is what? The standard is marriage. And so even if you're single, so to speak, you're still married to Yah. And by the way, we're supposed to be community. So this is where it gets tricky, because we're supposed to be coming together. So that means that, look, somebody around you should be around you all the time, believing what you believe and holding you accountable to the same standard. What happens is we live this stuff by ourselves for so long. And so we're out here trying to figure out how to be single, literally single by ourselves, rather than be like, oh, well, I'm not single. I'm with Yah. I'm not alone. I have a community. I'm not, nobody's looking at me bad because I'm being obedient. Nobody, like in the world, oh man, shoot, you 30 and you still a virgin? You 40, you still a virgin, right? In here, you're a virgin until you married. You're chaste. You're pure. It's kingdom first. We ain't worried about all that stuff. It's not my mindset when I sit down next to you, sis. I'm not thinking about what I can do with you. First of all, I'm married, right? So that can't even be my mindset. But we'll hear what I'm saying, right? Like, even when I'm single, I can't talk about me in that vein anymore, but you get what I'm saying. For those of you who are single, first thought shouldn't be, yo, what's up with it? What's up with the draws? What's up with the digits? You know what I'm saying? How you hanging? How long you go? What's your shape like? That's not the first thing that comes out of our mind. I'm not saying that you can't see somebody and go, oh, they're handsome, see somebody, oh, they're beautiful. But what I'm saying is that's not even first things first. If that is, you're handicapping the relationship because you're not even thinking kingdom. First things first, I should be interested in kingdom. Can this person speak king, right? Game, recognize game. Kingdom, recognize kingdom. Right? If it's two men, I'm trying to hear kingdom. you feel me? Right? Right? If it's two men, I want to hear kingdom. I'm not talking about two men sexually. I'm talking about two brothers sitting down, fellowship, and I'm still trying to hear kingdom. First things first. If kingdom ain't coming out of your mouth, we probably not gonna be tight like that. Right? I don't care if it's two sisters, right? You're not talking about trying this kingdom coming out your mouth. If kingdom ain't coming out your mouth, then more than likely we're not gonna be tight like that. That's the standard. So when persons be doing all this weird stuff, well, how do you get to know blah blah? First things first, I want to know kingdom. That's how you make a safe place. I want to know kingdom. I'll tell if you're a wife because you speak kingdom. And if you speak kingdom, then eventually I should start seeing things that a kingdom wife would do, whether you're married to the Most High only or not. You know what I'm saying? First thing I'm looking for is kingdom, no matter who you be. I don't care if you're a pastor. I don't care. Watch this. I don't care if you're Muslim. There's some Muslims that live more kingdom than some of y'all so-called followers of the way, or Christians, or Israelites, etc. I am an Israelite, so I'm not talking bad about you. I'm just saying. I be Israel too. I'm just saying, there's cats out here that are more kingdom minded than you. First thing I'm listening to is this kingdom. That's what I'm looking for. So if we have a kingdom conversation, then eventually down the road, it might blossom into something else, right? But first, the thing that makes my heart burn, and a kingdom man, a real kingdom husband, a real kingdom wife, right? A kingdom person who's so-called single or whatever. First thing that should make your heart burn is kingdom. Oh, this person kingdom first. Oh, this person loves. Oh, this person studies. This person prays. This person desires. This person meditates on the law both day and night, right? This person is like a tree planted by the rivers of water. This person didn't change when I met him the second time or the third time or the fourth time. See, that's whether, regardless of whatever kind of conversation, we could be talking about business. I'm still looking kingdom. Then when I see that, I go, okay. Right? Ain't no setup, ain't no I'm trying to get with you, ain't no I'm gonna call you on some whatever, ain't no okay, yo man, yo bro, hook me up with such and such. I'm gonna come in there, I'm gonna act like da, but I'm really trying to come in again. No, like straight up, I want to see who you are, kingdom, and I'm gonna reveal who I am with my flaws and everything. By the way, that's so important, right? That's so important. That's why we said make a safe place for hurt and all that stuff. Guess what? There's a safe place for your flaws. Your flaws will go away, but there's a safe place for your flaws too. Like, this is what I come in. This is what I've done before. This is how I messed up. This is how my relationships have been. This is how my mouth be going. This is my anger issues. Like, I'm going to be doing this. I know I'm supposed to be doing this, but I still don't know how to do, C and D, but I know everything else A through Z. I just don't know how to do C and D or where it's going to come from. Like, have honest conversations, even about your flaws. How you going to be in the word? How you have a safe place to crucify the flesh daily? You need a safe place for crucifying your flesh. I'm on, Sister Nadine. Right? How you gonna crucify? How you gonna have a safe place for crucifying your flesh, and there ain't nothing to be crucified? Come on, I see you, Sister Michelle. How do you know? Yeah, how do you love me if you don't know me? How you gonna you see? By the way, how can I lead and you don't know me enough to follow? And how can I train? And how can I teach and protect? And you don't ever reveal to me enough about if you get it or not. Uh-oh. I know I just use cuss words. I'm just telling the truth. Right? That's why you're not required in the kingdom. Nowhere in the Bible will you ever hear anything about dating. And nowhere in the Bible, watch this, peep game. Nowhere in the Bible will you hear persons be talked about as like being single. I'm not saying it didn't exist. I'm saying you don't really hear. I'm not saying you won't hear about a single person. No, I'm talking about single. Like the way y'all be talking about, yeah, so and so is single. They by themselves. They need to learn how to. No. It's supposed to be a community, a kingdom. They shouldn't even feel like they're single. If anybody want to holler at my sister, they should be hollering through their brother. That's the way that works. Y'all know y'all grew up like that. And if you didn't grow up like that, you knew a family that was like that. You can't just holler at my sister. You gonna just holler at my sister? No. No, bro. Especially I'm the older brother. No, you can't. No, you can't be doing all that. You got to come. You got to come talk to me. And if we got father in the house too, hey dad, they trying to talk to sis. Oh, for real? Word? Okay. No, it's community over here. It could be my cousin. You trying to holler my what? Who is this? And we would embarrass. My family go too far with it. The men of my family go too far with it. Like, but we'll embarrass you. Straight embarrass you just because. Sometimes just to see will you take it and come back. Do you love her that much? Because we going first time we meet, and I'm not even saying this is righteous. I'm just being honest. First time we meet you, bro, we about to fry you up. We about to make you uncomfortable. We about to see if you want to fight, all that stuff. Because we ain't gonna mess with you. You're gonna be family. But hey, we do this to each other. If you can't handle this, you ain't gonna be able to handle her. She was raised around this. She might fry you up one day too, because that's what she was raised. So you can't handle this. So sometimes we just straight up trying to mess with you just to see when you come back. That's right. Just testing the waters. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just telling, and I've learned I shouldn't do that. But yeah, we used to come together. Oh man, there was I won't say her name. Man, it was a cousin, and she's family. She not blood, but she family. She cousin, right? She little cousin. And she came through with her man. Oh my greatness. They tore his little behind up the whole night. I don't even remember. Might have been like one of the last Thanksgivings or something. We went to Italian restaurant and shut down like a whole corner of it or something, that we were doing our thing. And every man there for like 2-3 hours had nothing to do with whatever we came there for. It was straight up, we gonna fry this man up. And she was sitting there uncomfortable the whole time, looking to the side. But he did his thing. And guess what? Next time he came around, ain't nobody said nothing. We just went, hey, can this Negro make it through? Because he gonna have to get tested. We need to see. Because I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying, in our mind, the way we were raised, if he can't handle us, playing the dozens and frying them up and Jonah on him a little bit. If he can't handle the Jonah, just shoot. He can't handle when it get tough, because there's gonna be some stuff worse than somebody making fun of you. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that's the way we was raised up. Like, yo, if you coming and you dealing with somebody, you gotta be able to take these jokes. Right? You got to be able to take these jokes. But what I'm saying, I'm just saying. So, but long story short, right? And there should be a safe place even for the testing, a safe place even for that. But it's because like it's a community. You coming into the community, and we keep doing this weird thing. See, this is kingdom. And look, be mad at me, call it cultish, do whatever. I'm telling you the culture. Any brother or sister who gets married in this community, especially if you're going to do it righteously, the way it works is our daughter is not leaving Israel, and our sons are not leaving Israel. You being grafted in. We ain't saying that we ain't going to be nice to your family and stuff, but you being grafted in. And so, yeah, we're going to test you because you're going to be part of this tree, and we can't have the tree getting jacked up. Anybody, if you do it righteously, right? You can do however you want. But anybody, if you do it righteously, you coming in here. just know this, right? Just know. Look, I understand you the husband. You get to say blah blah. But look, mess around with this. Look, we Simeon and Levi out this piece. We'll come through the whole camp. Right? We crazy like that. We wired like that from the beginning. Because Dinah, that's our sister. Mess around and find out if you want. You know what I'm saying? But that's our sister. Mess around and do something that not come through the brotherhood and come through the father if you want. That's disrespect. Our father just finding out about it. Oh, no. We'll shut it down. Now, I'm not even saying they did what was righteous. I'm just telling you that's how we built. Straight man like that, right? That's how we built. Wait a minute. Hold on. You did what? Oh, no. We got to shut it down. Everybody in the community got to go. And that's how we used to feel about it. That's how we used to honor. It was a safe place, right? Even if Dinah was partially responsible, you going to be safe, Dinah. You ain't messing around. You ain't doing it. And if this happened to the person you love or whatever, if that's even how it went down, hey, you should have known better. I'm not even saying it's righteous. I'm just telling you straight up. That's how we do. And somebody has taught that out of us. How you doing, Brother Henry? Somebody has taught that out of us, or life. We've allowed life to move it out. No, we don't. That's something we don't move outside of. If somebody get married, yeah, you're gonna have to deal with us. For real, we're gonna have to deal with y'all. And yeah. Because her beliefs don't change because she's your wife. Matter of fact, her belief should have been what helped her to get towards you. But our fathers and our brothers and stuff like that, we're not okay in some mess. That's why I say if it's done righteously. Now, some cats just get married and then they just be like, agree with whatever. Or you were already married, you coming in, hey, cool. But that's why we try to be honest. And you want to call it cultish, you want to call it whatever you feel you need to. We know it's righteous. How you doing, Sister Snap? You can call it whatever you want. We know it's righteous. I'm not trying to be right. I'm trying to be righteous. That's what we separate from your system, because I know in your system, you're going to try to play us for this and play us for that. And you're going to try to tell our sister, but I'm trying to tell you, we protect our sisters. We protect our way of life. We protect our culture. We protect the ones that we love. And we're not just going to let her be out with just anybody in any kind of way. You got to come in. Now, once and here, watch this. When you come in, bruh, we gonna love you too. Like I said about the dude who came in, yo, he got fried all night. I felt bad for him. I stopped. I did a little bit of it and realized I was getting into it, and I was like, I'm gonna stop. And I just sat there, and the whole night, I was like, dang, man, he getting it. But he came back. And from that point on, we ain't say nothing. From that point on, he loved. He in. That's it. You got to be tested. You got to be tempted. Our sister is gold. What are you? You got to be gold to mess with gold over here. Iron sharpens iron. You can't come in here talking about that you satin. Iron to go through you. We need to see you be iron. And if you ain't iron, we'll help you get developed as it, by the way. But you got to be willing to be developed. Amen, Minister Jenny. We got you. Right? And those of you who going through the stuff and being married and stuff like that, and though we're about to go, and some of you, we still got to catch up on your stuff, but y'all have already seen it. And some of y'all don't even know, and some of y'all don't even know. The brothers have checked some of your brothers. So if they've actually come into the community, your brothers have checked, because we know each other too. And so when we found out so and so is getting with so and so, yo, okay, that you getting with him, okay, he cool. That happened in some of the situations. That happened because we were like, yo, we need to know. And we like, oh yeah, he cool, he straight, okay, he loving, he kind, he done, but he also firm, but he did, yeah, he a man, he do, okay, what did he do? All right, okay, cool. That's what's supposed to be. But you're taught to date, and then date and date and date, and then even when your family don't like them, hey, if your family really loves you, they'll just accept whatever. No. The kingdom expands. The kingdom colonizes. Yeah, I'll use that term. The kingdom gentrifies, yes, because it should look like kingdom. If your husband is coming into us, he should look like us. I'm not saying that y'all can't ever visit his family. No, we're not doing that. But what I'm saying is that if he gonna be in this family, he gonna represent. If she gonna be in this family, she gonna represent. That's why the color thing doesn't bother me as much as it does others. I get it. And I don't think that we should step away from realizing who Israel was and realizing that our hair, our color, and all those things matter. But the colorism thing doesn't make sense, right? Because anybody who's coming in, they become us. Now, the second they stop moving like us, which is really moving like Yah says, then we out. You hear what I'm saying? So no matter if that's light bright, red bone, mahogany, ebony, I don't know all the colors of them, whatever, but you know there's more, right? Whatever you claim, or whatever you say they look like, right? If they so-called white, even though there's no such thing as a person who's actually white for real, but whatever your color is, right? When you come in here, you Israel. And if you can't do that, then no matter who you be, you need to leave, or you need to stay out there until you can do that. Because this is a safe place for Israel. We even talked about that in the series. This is a safe place. Well, I mean, yeah, we can be treated as worse, so to speak, by so-called black persons and stuff like that, or treated as worse or treated as better. I would say that there's a whole bunch of white persons out there that, you haven't met that probably would treat you worse than the so-called black persons did, and vice versa, right? But even on that, the character of a person is not attached, shouldn't be attached to the color. Now, if we're saying it's attached to the color because of certain social cues and miscues, then we can have that conversation. Right. If you say, when I see a black person, I think they'll do because my experience says da da da, and there could be some righteous conversation in that, or vice versa with white. I see a white person, da da da, whatever. What I'm saying though is in your Bible. I know that persons, especially because persons have rewritten this, culturally the way it works is once Ruth was married married Boaz, she had already married an Israelite husband before anyway. But once she married Boaz, guess what? She was Israel. Matter of fact, she was married to Yah before she was married to Boaz. How do I know this? Your people shall be my people, and your Elohim shall be my Elohim. Well, if he's your Elohim, he's your husband. Period. How you doing, babe? My wife is on the Honorable Almonds. Always check her out on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish, not A-N-D, the letter N. Bloom and Flourish. She is a healer, herbalist, chemist, a biologist, balance by degree. Love you, babe. Thanks for being on. So yes. So here, you see what I'm saying? So I'm not. So that's why I try to tell persons not all skin folk is kinfolk, because for real, we're making this weird thing where we forget that there's Kemetic. We're part Kemetic, and at the same time, we don't follow the religion of Kemet. You see what I'm saying? Right? Like, so I have Kemet in me. If you're an Israelite, you were in the wilderness with Cush and Kemet and also others, right? Don't forget Rahab and them. And you have others who became Israel. And when you get to Canaan, it doesn't say, okay, the Cush and the Kemet and Rahab and them and Israel. It just says Israel. It does mention families of Israel. At that point, we're not talking about all the other stuff. We're grafted. You graft in. You part of this tree. If you part of the tree, then it's over. You're not a wild olive tree. You're the olive tree. You're not a wild olive branch. You're part of the olive tree. You see? So, and we were Kemet before. Even not just with those who were married into Joseph. We were Kemet with those who were, who came out with us. Even the new ones. Right? So we don't have the correct mindset on culture or nation building. So you can be blacker than me. I'm not even that black for real. You can be blacker than me and still not be Israel. You can be lighter than me and still not be Israel. You can be the same complexion of me and not be Israel. Israel is not based off of solely color. Now, once again, I have no problem with truth. So I have no problem being like, hey, if it says that we had locks, if it says that we were dark skinned, if it says, that we had some of us that were as black as the tents of Kedar, right? Then we should have no problem with being so-called black. I have no problem with that, right? I'm just saying that even in the safe place, make it a safe place for Israel, because there's a lot of African nations that are not Israel. There's a lot of African so-called tribes that are not trying to be Israel. There's a lot of Native Americans that are not trying to be Israel. There are many that are, but there are many that are not. And you have to make Israel the standard. The safe place is for Israel. And what's happened even with a lot of persons who are not Israel, but they look like us, they have so-called Negroid features, which is something you learn from others, not from us. Because if you go to other cultures and other countries where they look like you, or at least when you say look like you mean they have the same color as you. So when you go to other countries that have the same color as you, they'll still say, oh no, they don't look like us. They're not the same thing. They don't have the same values. They don't have the same nose. They don't have the same eyes. We just go, if you're black, because that's where we coming out of. But they don't do that over there, right? And if you go over there, there's Israelites, and there's persons who are into Onion Capone, and there's persons that are into Eurijas, and there's persons that are into et cetera, et cetera. And you don't know the difference because once again, you didn't learn things through the prism of your culture. So in your mind, you just go, no. Like even persons, that's why not all kinfolk is kinfolk. Even not all Israel is Israel, because there's many so-called Israelites who don't even follow the law. So just because you're an Israelite by flesh, and you can be an Israelite by flesh, but still not obey the law of the Spirit. The law was always supposed to be spiritual first. And you were supposed to have a circumcised heart whole time. While being circumcised in the flesh, you were supposed to be circumcised in your heart so that when the law of the spirit came through, you would be able to get it straight spirit. But many of you deal with the law of sin or the law of the flesh because your heart is uncircumcised. You're so fleshly in your desires, what you want it to be, that you still don't get the word. See, so it's still not, the law still can't make a safe place in many persons' hearts, because not just if you're Israel, but even outside of it, but especially many Israelites. That's why you listen to certain Hebrew Israelites and you're like, yo, these are the last mofos I want to listen to. Right? Some of y'all be like, yo, if that's how we're going to be speaking to cats, it's the last one, because they're not even Israel. They are Israel in the flesh, which is, look, that is a part of the standard as far as those who you should be grafted into. But that's not the only thing. So I love my Israelite brethren that's out there in the corner. I love your heart. I love the tenacity. I love the fire. I love the lion in you. But I don't like the fact, forgive me, I'm just quoting. Forgive me, I'm quoting. I know pastors ain't supposed to do this. I do this a few times, trigger warning, whatever the case might be, right? But I'm just quoting. Okay, I'm about to quote some stuff. I'm not saying this is what I believe, what you should be called, but I'm just saying this is what happens. This is why a lot of persons don't like to be around us. Some of you need to hear it, because you do the same thing while you play like you cool, and then all of a sudden you get around certain cats and you give this energy that you're not supposed to give. This is why cats don't want to listen to you, because hey, as much as I love the lion in you, bruh, the lion is in you, sis. When you on that corner and you speaking for Yah, and really they don't let the sisters speak, so the lion's in you in the corner, bruh, right? I love that in you. At the same time, though, my man, you can't call women bitches and think they're coming into the kingdom. See, that's the law of the flesh, not the law of the spirit. Because Yah doesn't give birth to bitches. He has daughters. Right? My man, I love you. I love the lion in you. I love that roar. I love it in you. But my man, you can't go around and when somebody, right, doesn't like you, you say, well, you just supposed done good for nothing nigga anyways. Because y'all don't have them. And before you say, well, I'm talking about niggas, no, you're not, bro. Not in that instance. I'm just saying, right? My brother, I know what you're trying to do as far as black pride. I get it. But you can't call every white person that walks around a saltine cracker and think that you're going to go ahead and build up the kingdom. My man, I know that you're trying to go ahead and give us pride, but you can't sit up there and say you can't wait to enslave everybody the way that they enslaved you. For vengeance is not yours, thus said Yahavah. Right? This is why persons ain't coming. I'm sorry, it's 11:05. I'm over. I'm sorry. We're done. Right? But this is why persons don't find it a hashtag a safe place. I'm sorry, excuse me. I thought I had 5 more minutes. I'm over 5 minutes, excuse me. But this is why persons don't think of us as a safe place. In the SOC, our promise is to continue to create a safe place. How you doing, Sister Donna? Our promise is to continue to create a safe place no matter what. How you doing, B-Plat? Thanks for being part of the community. All right. So love you all to life. Hopefully you've enjoyed the series. I'll be back in front of you guys this evening, and then I'll be taking Tuesday and Wednesday off. Don't forget SOC still does what they do, though, so feel free to look around and support one another. And appreciate love y'all. Thank you so much for being on with us. And I'm sorry, I really didn't realize I was over time. We've been doing better at starting on time. Praise y'all. But we want to continue to be ending on time as well. So I will leave that there. I thank you all. Appreciate love you. And we honor you. Hopefully you've gotten everything you need out of the series. When I come back, well, we'll be back on this evening, but when I come back on Thursday, after Thursday Rise in Prayer, we will do Q&A on Thursday, and then on Friday we'll be starting a brand new series where we'll be dealing with Balashats or the book of Genesis, and we will do that until we get through the whole thing. So I'm not sure if this is going to be a thing that we do throughout the year or anything like that, but literally until it's time to move on to the next part. So I'm not going to come in be telling you guys specifically we're only going to be focusing on. I just know that we're going to go from chapter to chapter, to verse, line upon line, precept upon precept, getting some words in, all that. So Oh, well, thank you, Sister Michelle. Appreciate that. How you doing, Eastside? How you doing, Ellen? I am Ellen. So, love you all to life. You all take care. Minister Stephen, I know you said, so I'll be looking for you. I'm gonna get better too. I'll be messing up. So, real quick, I'll be messing up because I did one of the updates to the phone, and ever since then, I can't ever get my notifications the way that I like because I'm not great with technology. I say that all the time. So I've been kind of missing and messing up on stuff, but I will be better with that. And like I said, I'm still here to was it T8 or T2A2, right? T2A2. I'm here to teach, to train, to assemble, and assign. So that's what I'm working towards, and I ain't stopped yet. I'm not going another way. So give us time. If you are trying to reach out to me, maybe give us about 10 more minutes. We're gonna go ahead and do our shout out. And thank y'all for being on. Love you all to life. We hope once again that this has been a blessing to you in the series, and we're thankful and grateful to you all. Appreciate, love you. Hopefully you guys are staying warm wherever you might be. And looking for the information that's coming out. Look for those calendars and all that great stuff as well. Also, too, we put links in a lot of places on social media for Dr. T's book. So prayerfully, you've gone out and gotten a copy, especially the sisters. Really, everybody. It's a well-written book, but especially the sisters, you'll be using it for the next 2 to 3 months. So hopefully, you guys are in that book and studying and supporting. And thank you all again. Thank you, Minister Shante, for teaching us for Early Rise Bible Study session. And if for some reason I don't see you until Thursday, know that I'm praying for you, that I love you. And I think MITs, I think we are on track to have our training again this Tuesday. So we'll see you guys. So that's the only thing I'll be doing for sure. Besides some paperwork, that's the only thing I'll be doing for sure this Tuesday and Wednesday coming up. So love y'all to life. You all take care. Continue to be strong. Let's make this hashtag a safe place. And just because the series is over doesn't mean that the safe place is gone, right? So love y'all to life. Give us up till about 11:20 p.m. New York time, 11 p.m., 11:20 a.m. New York time if you're trying to reach out. And we'll make sure we start getting back to you expeditiously, as T.I. would say. All right, love you all to life. Take care. We give our honor and praise to the Most High. We give our praise and honor to Him. For my wife, the Honorable Alma, who lives a life that is able to be honored. As always, you can check her out on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish. Not A-N-D, the letter N. Bloom and Flourish. She is a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree. Thank you, everybody, for being on once again. And hopefully you enjoy the rest of your day. And prayerfully, we'll see you about 8 p.m. New York time on what am I trying to say? Oh, on TikTok and YouTube. We'll see you at about 8 p.m. New York time. All right. Take care, family. Thank you so much again. Love you all to life. And shout out time. Those who are on TikTok, do what you do. If you want to join us for the shout out, join us over here. Peace.